round of 8 SimPossible B-Car Series begins tonight here at Kansas Speedway. This 1.5 mile progressively shaped oval. We're going to have 133 laps around it. Going to be a very great race. But I'm Cameron Rich with Peter Short here in the booth and Carlos Costa manning those cameras. And Peter, one of the big stories of the last few weeks is Dave Wilson actually sweeping all 3 races of the round of 12. Charlotte, Richmond, and Dover all going to the driver of the 20 car. So definitely got to think he's one of the favorites for this championship. But, can he be stopped?
Well, we're going to find out here tonight. He's been stopped in practice. He's currently only 3rd on the board. AJ Digby and Kyle Zimmer have paced the way here tonight around this 1.5 mile oval. Like you said, Cameron, it's progressively banked, which means the high side ends up being the fast way around this racetrack, especially on the long run. We'll see some drivers probably down low early in the run, but this is a really difficult place to pass because that high line is so dominant.
Absolutely. It's really one of the hardest to do on iRacing, the whole service itself, just because, if you get a better run, usually you end up smacking right into the back of another car, and it's so hard to pass like that. You go down the bottom side and there's just no grip. The car slides up and you need all the racetrack to make a pass, so it's definitely going to be a frustrating.
Yeah, it ends up being a frustrating race for sure, and I'm sure we'll see that come into play as this race continues on. We do have just under 30 seconds left here in practice. AJ Digby has been very, very fast last few weeks, but hasn't been able to put it all together to get a win. Kyle Zimmer is currently 2nd on the board. 3rd, Dave Wilson, like we mentioned. He swept all 3 races in the previous round. Chris Roberge, 4th. And running at your top 5, Tim Masters. It's a pretty big field here tonight, Cameron. 18 drivers have taken time here in practice. Very good field for the SimPossible Racing League, including that man right there, Alan Day in the 68. All the way from the UK racing here tonight. It's pretty awesome to see him in this field, mixing it up with these drivers.
Absolutely. Another story to kind of note about tonight. Johnny Berardi is making his return after having surgery on his leg. He's all fixed up and ready to go. Says he's pretty excited to get back out there. And I would have to assume that, after being out of the car for a few weeks, really no happier feeling than just getting out there and doing it. So we're here in qualifying now. There's the 20 of Dave Wilson. Like we said, winner of the last 3 events out on the track now. He was 3rd in practice. So let's see if he can start this one off, or this round of 8 off right with a maybe a pole position here. You see running that high side around this 1.5 mile track. And you got to be real careful, Peter, to not hit wall in qualifying, because that will disqualify your lap. And I think this is probably one of the hardest tracks on the service to qualify at just for that reason.
Yeah, and you see Wilson going to use that high line. I kind of expected to see drivers possibly use the lower groove here in qualifying, just because you typically can get a lap or 2 out of those tires such that you can run down there on the bottom, but Dave Wilson electing to use that high line as we see there. He is one of the 8 drivers who has made it to the next round of the SimPossible B-Car playoffs. We'll see what kind of lap time that number 20 Viagra machine turns, and currently he is atop the board, but he's the only one so far to take time. Looks like that car right there, the number 99 Johnny Berardi, might be suffering from a little bit of connection issues here. James Efog going to go 2nd on the board, but he's quickly eclipsed by the number 9 of Tim Masters. We'll see if we can get to the top 8. All your drivers in the next round of the playoff, as Kyle Zimmer has gone top of the board. And Kyle Zimmer, he's one of those drivers who is going for the SimPossible B-Car Championship. And Cameron, let's quickly run down those names in the top 8, as those are going to be the drivers that these fans are going to be watching tonight. Who is going to end up the champion? Well, it's going to be one of these 8. Alan Capers, AJ Digby, Nate Catilla, Tim Masters, Fernando Matos, Chris Roberge, Dave Wilson, and Kyle Zimmer all come into tonight's race equal on points at 3,000 points. So it's going to be interesting to see who can make it through this round. It's a 3-race round here tonight. Kansas, followed by Texas and ISM Raceway, and then we round out the season here in a couple of weeks at Homestead Miami Speedway.
Yeah, 3 very different racetracks here. This Speedway, you're going to be running that outside line most of the race. Texas is a more of a low line track than Phoenix. Of course, the crooked D, like we said from last night's broadcast, that my producer's probably about to yell at me about, but It's definitely going to be an interesting round with all these 8 drivers going for really 4 spots to go into Homestead and fight for championship. And this is probably the round that's going to show who's going to be really strong in that Homestead race, because it's 2 1.5 mile tracks, and Homestead being a 1.5 mile track itself. I think probably the most ache into that last one. But you see that 17 there, he's got a special paint scheme on that car, and I believe Peter, you have some information about who designed that and kind of the little story behind it.
Yeah, this number 17 machine driven by Fernando Matos tonight, it is driven by Jake, 13-year-old Special Olympics athlete, and Jake had this car hand-drawn in crayon. It was scanned in and uploaded to the iRacing service, and now Fernando Matos is out here running the paint scheme that Jake put together. So Jake, if you're watching this broadcast, and hopefully you are, man, that's a good looking ride out there. Definitely very, very colorful, and it will be very noticeable out there on the racetrack. It's a really awesome thing that Fernando Matos put together with help from Leah Douglas and Chris Bray, 2 Special Olympics coaches. They collaborated with him on the project, and it really is a very special, unique car, and hopefully that number 17 can end up this one in Victory Lane.
Yeah, that's really a cool car. As soon as I saw it, I was talking to Fernando a little bit earlier, and I said I really love that car, and it's a really cool thing that Jake did, and that car is actually really nice. You can really see it out on the track, so it's really cool there. Nick Catilla going slow in qualifying, and there's AJ Digby as well. Current pole sitter, 30.166 is his time, and he is currently at the top of the board, and it looks like he's probably going to win the pole with only 15 seconds left in qualifying. Might have been doing a little bit of a pit road test there. Nick Catilla going slower on the racetrack. He's currently P3, 30.259 for that number 4 machine. Going to stop it over there in turn number 1. And Peter, I think that we can congratulate AJ Digby on winning the pole for tonight's race.
Yeah, we've seen AJ Digby so far this year get a good number of poles, but he only has 1 win to his credit here in the B-Car Series. So definitely been really, really fast in qualifying, but we'll have to see if AJ can put everything together to see if he can get the win here tonight. Of course, a win would get him through into the season finale round at Homestead, Miami. So that is definitely what his goal here tonight is. We're going to go through tonight's starting lineup. Starting on the pole is the number 14 machine of AJ Digby, like we've been saying. To his outside, another playoff contender, the 25 of Kyle Zimmer. On row number 2, it's a couple other playoff contenders. The number 4 of Nate Catilla qualified in the P3 position. Starting to his outside on row number 2, Dave Wilson in the number 20 machine. The number 98, Christopher Burge, another playoff contender, will be starting from the 5th position. And to his outside, Tim Masters. So really your top 6 drivers are 6 of the 8 going for the playoff title. Eddie Hawks and James Efaw, 2 non-championship hunt drivers, will start from the 7th and 8th position. Fernando Matos, one of those playoff contenders, will start from the 9th position. Alain Day will be starting in the 10th position, Cameron.
Starting in 11th, we have Johnny Berardi making his return after some surgery on his leg. I'm sure he's going to be really happy to be back. And then the number 1 of Thomas Wise starts 12th. Starting 13th is Tom Johnson, 14th Kevin Cochran, 15th Mark Dingman in the 48, 16th Billy Wise, 17th Doug McCollum, 18th, and surprisingly not last, 66th of Brian Lohead, and starting 19th and shotgun on the field is number 13 of Alan Capers. So we have a championship contender starting first, Peter, and we have a championship contender starting last in this field.
Yeah, and Alan Capers wasn't able to turn a time in either practice or qualifying, and I've yet to see that number 13 reach the grid, so not quite sure what is happening with Alan, but hopefully he can get out there on the racetrack at some point here tonight, because like you said, Cameron, he is one of the 8 drivers here in the penultimate round of the SimPossible B-Car Series. We started this season back in February, Cam, and it has gone by pretty darn quick. It's been a great season, lots of fantastic racing, and I think this will be yet another good race here tonight.
Absolutely, 29 races down. This is race number 30 of, I believe, B3, so we're really definitely absolutely getting down to the nitty-gritty end of this season, and it's been a really fun one, and it's been a challenge for all these drivers, and really for ourselves too. Really, running 50% races of the Real Xfinity schedule. These are pretty much endurance races that a lot of these drivers haven't ever done before, and it's really good to see these huge fields we're getting now. And everybody's really excited about it, and it's gone really well. So it's gonna lead well into next year's Cup Series that Jeff Schmidt has talked about, and we're about to go green for race 30 in just a moment.
Yeah, pace car here going to turn down pit road. Going to put the race in the hands of the number 14 of AJ Digby, waiting for the green flag to be thrown. And there is the green flag. We're underway here for 200 miles around the Kansas Speedway, 133 laps. AJ Digby gets to a good race start, and he's going to slam up in front of the number 25 machine. Everyone going down to the bottom, at least for now. A couple of drivers a little bit further back, though, already starting to use that high line, Cameron. But up at the front, everyone using that low line, and I'm sure we'll see that change here pretty quickly.
Yeah, we are single file for 3 cars. We have a battle for 4th with 2 Protege racing cars. Dave Wilson, Chris Verge on that inside line. That's the first side-by-side battle. Looks like Dave Wilson's going to probably win that one out of turn number 4 using that high line to his advantage. You saw how quickly everybody kind of migrated up there. I think that's going to be something that we see all night tonight. You see Dave Wilson getting around his teammate for that 4th position. Now Chris Verge being stuck on the inside line. He is under fire from Tim Masters down the backstretch, losing spots pretty quickly. But battle for the lead up here, Kyle Zimmer. As I say that the low line is not working, he's using it against AJ Digby trying to take that lead. So, off turn number 4, a little bit loose for that 25, but definitely trying to use those tires while he still has them. And currently, right now, not able to do anything with that 14. AJ Digby using that high side to his advantage, and now Nate Catillo looks like he's looking pretty racy for second.
I have seen races here at Kansas Speedway where that low line starts to come in, but you really have to have either a really loose or a really tight race car, and you could just use that low line. I've seen it work both ways, so we'll have to see how these cars progress over the run. Kyle Zimmer up at the front actually just got a little bit sideways coming out of turn number 4 once again, Cameron. Maybe he's overheated those rear tires a little bit. There we saw a brief look at the number 17 of Fernando Matos. The hand paid, looks like Tim Masters in the number 9 machine just got into the outside wall a little bit. Cameron, we'll see that a lot here tonight.
Yeah, these drivers do have 4 fasters, and I think we'll probably see a couple drivers use all 4 just to fix some damage on that. There's Dave Wilson making a move under Nate Catillo there for the 3rd position, and he's actually been able to make the low line work a little bit, but Nate Catillo using that outside line. You see the run he gets off turn number 4, gaps the 20 by about 3 car lengths into turn number 1. And Nate Catillo, we've seen he's really strong on the high line tracks. He used the high line to his advantage back in Las Vegas when he got his first win. And I think that number 4 is going to be someone to watch tonight, but he's under fire from Dave Wilson currently. Battle here in the back pack a little bit. Back up to the battle for 3rd with Dave Wilson and Nate Catillo. And Nate Catillo loose off turn number 4 in the wall, head on. And that's going to be our first caution of the night. Saw that battle for 3rd place, Peter, and it looks like that Nate Catillo, I don't think there was any contact there, but just got a little bit loose on that end of the speedway.
We saw a lot of net code last night in the ASRS series here on 3Y TV, but I don't think net had anything to do with that one, Cameron. Like you said, I think that number 4 machine just had a little bit too much beans out of the corner there, but early indications that this track is hot and slick, and just all of a sudden tried to save that number 4 when it snapped to the left, and when it jumped back to the right after trying to save it, like you said, went head on into the outside retaining wall. Luckily for Nate, he does have a few fast repairs, so we'll see him out there on the racetrack. If you're new to the SimPossible Racing League, this is a racing league for disabled drivers, and all these drivers in this field have some form of disability, and they're very good drivers. We see a lot of great action out of these drivers week in, week out, but because some of the drivers have a little bit more severe of a disability than some of the others, they do get 4 fast repairs. But Cameron, last year when we first broadcasted the Truck Series races, these drivers, if you compare the drivers from then to now, they have gotten so much better. It's really, really impressive to see the progress amongst these drivers, and I think they all accredit it to this race league because it gives them a place to race where no one is really going to blame them for something. If they have a disability, as the 14 of Digby wins the race off pit road over the 25 of Zimmer, this is a place where they can race without drivers making judgments, without them being slammed by other drivers. And because of that fact, they've been able to come here, hone their skills. They practice for these races, and they've become really good race car drivers.
Yeah, I can attest to that myself. I actually saw a comment in the chat from E-Team Brit saying good luck to all, and participated in the Team Brit 6 hours of Silverstone with some of these drivers, and fantastic experience. Everybody was really cool about it, and the thing is that like it doesn't really matter that anybody has a disability because they were all as fast as anyone else, and it was just just a bunch of good drivers that were doing what they loved, and we had a good time about it. So I like to say that it's a league of disabled drivers, but it doesn't really matter because all these drivers are so talented, and when you're in race cars anyway, it doesn't really matter because you're racing other cars, not other people.
Well, you think about some of these drivers and what they go through with whatever their disability might be. I mean, we have drivers in this field racing on controllers, some drivers racing on adaptive controls such as hand controls on a steering wheel, that sort of thing. And it's really awesome that these drivers can come out here and put on a great show for the fans. I mean, we saw 3 wide battle for the championship last year in the truck series, and very, very impressive form too. They know how to go out here and put on a good show. As AJ Digby, speaking of good shows, he's led every lap so far except for one, which was led by the number 98 of Christopher Bursch, who led a lap here under caution. He's pitted on the second time by. There he is. And Cameron, the number 98, we already brought up the Special Olympics earlier with Jake, the 13-year-old who painted the paint scheme on the number 17 machine. But the number 98 of Chris Roberge, he's also a former participant of the Special Olympics. So got to give a shout out to Chris Roberge there in that Canada Toyota. But yeah, definitely a lot of cool stuff out there. And AJ Digby, for those who don't know, he's actually a special Olympian. He's really a Paralympian. What he does, I don't know exactly if that falls under the same governing body or not, but he's done Paralympics. He's a fantastic sprinter. For those who don't know, he's all-around fantastic athlete. He uses the blades like Oscar Pistorius had made famous, and very, very talented both on the racetrack and off the racetrack. And currently, he's sprinting himself into the race lead here at Kansas Speedway. Cameron.
Yeah, he definitely looks fast out tonight, and winning the pole, currently running in first, like you said, led every lap except for the one that Christopher Burge led under caution. So we're gonna see how much speed that number 14 has on this restart. You see him pulling right up next to that number 20 of Dave Wilson. These two have a long history together of racing for championships. Remember what happened at Homestead last season, but the pace car is off, and fielded in the hands of number 14 for a restart on lap number 10 here at Kansas. Good start for the 14 once again. Looks like the 20 of Dave Wilson not really able to get going. He's going to be under fire from number 45 of Eddie Hawks into turn number 1. Eddie Hawks might just go ahead and take that. He's got a good run and move him up to second. He can clear the 20 right there if he wants to. Haven't talked about Eddie Hawks too much. Definitely has made a lot of noise since coming in this league, and right there running in the second position solidly. Peter, definitely, not in the championship hunt, but definitely out here to make a name for himself.
Yeah, interesting to note, Nate Cattell a little bit further back in the pack, who brought out that first caution. He actually didn't use a fast repair, so he's possibly thinking that saving a fast repair is in his best intention right now. You can see a lot of rear end damage on that number 4 machine as he dives off into turn number 1 or a single foul. Oh, the number 9 Tim Masters in the wall once again. He's going to lose out a couple positions. He lost a ton of momentum, Cameron. When you hit that outside wall here at Kansas Speedway, it kind of just suckers you in and takes away so much momentum out of that car. You see him up there just to the outside of what looked like Mark Dingman in the 48 machine. And the outside wall, everyone did a good job to avoid him, but up at the front, it is still AJ Digby over the number 45 of Eddie Hawks now in the second position.
Yeah, there's a term we use in racing that I know you have heard, Peter, and it's a wall glue. When you get stuck up in that wall and you just lose so much momentum, it feels like that there's glue in that wall and it's sucking your race car into it to like a sticky type of substance. But battle back here for the 8th position, Chris Burge and new driver to the league, Alain Day, going at it. Alain Day in that mint and white colored car. He's currently running right about where he started in the 9th position. And there's Fernando Matos in that very awesome looking race car, I have to say. He's running in the 6th position right now, running right behind number 25, Kyle Zimmer. Ooh, and the might be a ball contact there for, I think, the 25.
Ooh, we got a car on the backstretch all the way down the inside of the racetrack. That is the 9 of Tim Masters. This has not been his day so far. See a lot of right rear damage on that number 9 machine. He's already had a couple excursions with the outside wall. Did a good job of saving it, though. That number 9 machine looked completely sideways coming out of turn number 2. So Masters is going to have to ride this one out. Ooh, maybe a little bit of contact there with Nate Catilla in the 4 machine, I think. Maybe Cameron, the number 9, was trying to clear him and they made contact, possibly. I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to go back and see another replay. But nonetheless, we do have a lot of action here on the racetrack. The number 17 of Matos underneath the number 98 of Roberge there briefly. That is going to allow Roberge to move up into the 6th position. But we have a caution on the racetrack, and it appears to be, oh, the number 4 machine again. That's Nate Catilla going through the grass.
Yeah, Nate Catilla, one of our Championship 8 drivers, and definitely not having a good day here so far. I got to think, Peter, see him through 3 and 4, that car just getting loose again, and really the same thing that happened to him the first time, and just a bit of a different result. He not hitting the wall, but I got to think that having that damaged car and being a little bit loose in 3 and 4, it's not doing him any favors. Probably just needs to go in there and get that car fixed up, you know, and just get it driving well again.
Yeah, it's one thing that kind of leads to another. If you get any damage on that rear spare, you lose a lot of rear downforce, and it will get away from you just like it did there. So Nate Catilla still out on the racetrack. No more damage accrued from that spin as he was able to avoid the wall, but we'll see if he elects to use a fast repair here as we're working just over the 10% distance here at the Kansas Speedway. And there is AJ Digby himself, and you can Google AJ Digby and we'll bring up some of his past track and field experience, and that does include the Rio Paralympic Games a few years ago. So we have the Olympics coming up next year, Cameron. I wonder if we'll get to see AJ Digby in the Paralympics next year. That'd be pretty darn cool. I think he'll might be a little bit upset about missing a SimPossible race or two, but the Olympics is a pretty darn cool thing, and he's currently leading the way. We did have a couple cars elect to stay out, however. Kyle Zimmer in the number 25 and Fernando Matos staying out there on the racetrack right now. I think they've seen how hard it is to pass. So do you think they're going to come down second time by, Cameron, or do you think they're going to try and play the track position game?
You know, I'm really not sure. The 25 Kyle Zimmer actually he had a penalty before the last restart. He had to go to the end of the longest line, and you know, relatively, he was able to make his way through the field pretty easily. So I would probably say that he, you know, should come down and get tires and again or whatever. But I don't think he's led a lap tonight, so he might be doing that.
Yeah, getting bonus points for leading a lap is something that is ever so important in the championship hunt. You have seen championships almost decided by a point, or at least, you know, the playoff cuts. So very, very important. And number 25 did lead the last lap, so he does receive bonus points for leading those laps. Currently, Fernando Matos, though, right behind him. We've mentioned that paint scheme on that car a couple times. You can see it here as it drives by in our 3-wide TV camera. Different color for every side of that car, and indeed the number 25 machine is coming down pit road. Fernando Matos is going to stay out there on the racetrack. Interesting to see that number 17 is staying out there on the racetrack. See if you can play that track position game. And Cameron, it is so hard to pass here that I'm not too surprised Fernando Matos is playing this game. It'll be interesting to see if it works out for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, if it's pretty early on in the race, only at lap 18 of 133, if it doesn't work for him, he's got plenty of time to make his way back through the field. I like the call. I definitely like making calls like this, you know, in the first 30 or so laps of the race, just because you have so much time to get back through the field if it doesn't go wrong or right. So I really like the call. And we've seen Fernando make do of calls like this before, good pit strategy calls that have netted him better finishing positions than he would have otherwise. So I think that number 17 doing something pretty good there. There's Kyle Zimmer coming back out on the racetrack. out of turn number 2. So he's going to have to do what he did last caution once again, make his way back through the field. But the 25 looks like one of the fastest cars here. He was able to get his way back up to the 5th or so position in about 3 laps. So I think he might be just trying to have some fun out here today.
Tim Masters in the number 9 machine and say that he has elected to use a fast repair. The number 4 machine has also used a fast repair. So Nate Catilla's number 4 machine is back in good repair. Kevin Cochran coming down pit road in his number 80 Toyota Supra. Slow at 45 miles an hour. Can also say that Alan Capers, driver of the number 13 machine, one of your playoff contenders, has actually left the server. So not quite sure what Alan's issue was here tonight. Hopefully everything is okay with him and his wife and his family and all that stuff. But sometimes some things, are more important than racing a sim race. So hopefully whatever it is that prevented Alan from racing here tonight, hopefully it's a minor situation. But that is definitely a tough break for one of your Championship 8.
Absolutely, and we've all had that happen before, but see somebody else hitting the cone on the backstretch after he left, so getting that out of the way. Want to get the quick shout out in the chat for right before we go green. Juby Bob, Billy Wise, Team Britt, Chris Verge, and Will Worsler Racing. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Hope you are enjoying what you are watching. But Peter, we're going to see something here on the restart, how those tires on that 17 car are going to be able to hold up. It's definitely gonna be interesting to see. I think everybody else can be kind of watching and see what happens as well, to see if they can maybe make that kind of a strategy call later in the race. But pace car is off. Green flag out for the number 17. He's actually pulling onto the apron to take the green flag. Very interesting there. But you saw this 14 of AJ Digby kind of lay back a little bit. He's gonna have a good run into turn number 1 on that outside line. I think those tires might kind of help him make that move around out of turn number 2 here. We'll see on board with the 20. On board with the 20 of Dave Wilson, 3 wide for the lead down the backstretch. AJ Digby on the outside, and Fernando Matos stuck on the inside. He's going to lose the lead to Digby. Now he's under fire from second with the 2 Protege Racing cars. Almost 4 wide there through turn number 3 with that number 17. I think those tires are absolutely just giving themselves up. You saw both Protege cars of Roberge and Wilson able to get around him, and Fernando Matos is just, oh, trouble, turn 1, Tom Johnson, James Efob. We have a car upside down, actually 2. 57 of Tom Johnson and James Efall barrel rolling it down the track, and that is an absolutely terrible accident. You saw Fernando Matos involved as well, and number 9 of Tim Masters, unfortunately his day gets worse. He is stuck upside down in turn number 1. You see on the replay here, it's just absolutely mega accident here at Kansas, and I have to get a better look at that. I wasn't able to see what actually happened in that replay shot, but we'll go on board with the number 88 of James Efaw. He was running right behind Alain Day, and I think just a bit of bumper hook, a bit of contact there into the entry of turn number 1, and see around and round he goes. Our gyro cam absolutely getting a workout, and for number 9 of Tim Masters, that is not the way he wants to start his championship round of 8 off. Another on board here, and you just see, my goodness, when you have the bottom side of a race car coming straight at your face, I think there's just not really much you can do.
Yeah, and that is definitely a tough break for 2 of your Championship 8, Fernando Matos and Tim Masters. Both drivers currently sitting on pit road, both having to take a tow to get to their pit box. They will be able to use a fast repair, but they will be a lap or more down once they finally are able to leave pit road, as all your leaders currently coming down right now. Actually, no, excuse me. Most of your leaders are staying on the racetrack, but this is kind of the back half of the lead group. Excuse me for my error there, as Kyle Zimmer in the number 25 led them down, and he is in his pit box right now. There he is. You see Nate Catilla in the number 4 machine having to use another fast repair. The number 9 of Tim Masters will have to use his second fast repair. There's the 32 of Billy Wise coming off board. I haven't really talked about Billy Wise here tonight. Has so far had a pretty quiet night, but it's kind of good to have a quiet night at the beginning of the race, as long as you can make some noise right at the end of the race. But we are now working lap number 23 of 133 scheduled here tonight.
Yeah, Billy was one of those drivers knocked out of the championship after the first round, so not in the championship hunt anymore, but that is pretty much, I would say, Peter, just more incentive to go out there and just try something, try to get a win to end the season off on a good note and maybe head into 2020 with a bit of momentum on your side.
And Cam, not only was he knocked out, he was knocked out by a tiebreaker. He was tied on points with Fernando Matos. Matos had the tiebreaker because Matos won back at Daytona. So that little tiebreak is what eliminated Billy Wise from the championship 8. So, like you said, he's going to come out here. He can't win the championship anymore, but he definitely has something to prove out there on the racetrack as pace car lights are still on as we continue to pace around. And I'm going to see if maybe we can get a quick word with one of the drivers out there. Cameron, let's see if we can grab driver of the number 25 machine, Kyle Zimmer, for a quick interview. Oh, well, you know what? Let's see if we can dial up someone else. Who can we dial up? Let's see if we can dial up. Let's see if we can dial up AJ Digby. He is our race leader. We can get him in here.
Discord.
There he is. Hey, AJ Digby, we got you right in the middle of a conversation as always. That seems like kind of seems like what we typically do up here in the booth. How's that number 14 driving out there? You've been really, really fast so far. That high line working well for you?
Yeah, really good. I love Kansas. This 14th Motorsports machine. Real fast here today, so just got to keep it pinned up to the without actually hitting the wall up there. So restarts are kind of the hardest thing, being on the bottom, but you are kind of able to get that run through, and I've had some good jumps with the green. So just hoping to keep this car up front because it looks like it's tough to pass back in the pack behind us. So my spotter Kevin Vollmer got me through that 3 wide there, and hopefully be able to keep this up in front while also playing strategy game on pit stop. So got a really fast machine, just got to keep it up there and hopefully walk away. I was in the middle of point conversations when you pulled me over. So yes, even 25 laps into this race, we're already talking about points.
Well, points are very, very important when you get to this time of the year. Just before we let you go, because we do have the 1 to green, how slick is it out there?
It's not really bad. 3 and 4 is where it gets really bad. Also, the older your tires are. So once you hit about that 10 lap threshold, it starts to get real bad. But if you try to run the bottom line or right in the middle / exit of 3 and 4 is where it's the toughest. But it's nothing that I can't handle, and we've been able to put some green laps together, the whole field. So hopefully we can get a little bit more green flag here and have a good finish here.
All right. Well, AJ, best of luck. We'll let you get back to it here as we're about to get the green flag. All right. Well, that is driver number 14, your race leader, AJ Digby, and pace car headed down pit road. Digby has said he's been getting some good restarts. We'll see if he can get one here as he's got the number 98, Christopher Burge, to his outside. Green flag flies here at Kansas, and yeah, that number 14 getting a pretty darn good jump over that number 98. Look at the number 45 there. That is the Eddie Hawks, and Eddie is having a pretty darn good run up there in the top 5, and look like he's starting to make some noise on that restart. Is the number 20 Dave Wilson, though, diving down to the inside. Will Wilson be able to make the move here going through 3 and 4? He's down there on that bottom groove where there isn't much grip, trying to see if he can get the run up off the corner. He's unable to do so, and now he's side by side with the number 98 of Christopher Burge.
Yeah, he's probably thinking that wasn't a very good idea because Roberge was able to get around him on the outside. Now Roberge going to try to make a hole for him. Ooh, Roberge actually in the wall in turn number 1 there. And, caution out on the racetrack once again. Number 99 of Johnny Berardi.
Yeah, the number 99 of Johnny Berardi. It's his first race back with the SimPossible Racing League after he was out for quite some time. We'll see what happened here on the 3-wide TV replay. Ooh, looks like that outside wall just might have caught him there, not quite sure. Ooh, gosh, wow, he got some crazy airtime going back up the racetrack. I don't think I've ever really seen that one in iRacing, Cameron, but that number 98 is going to have to use a fast repair, unfortunately. This is pretty easy to do, though. You just kind of misjudge where that wall is, and you can see him try and do everything he could to save that race car, and oof, up into the wall it went. It looks like someone else might have caught his car. Might have been the one of Thomas Wise, perhaps. Not 100% sure. But the number 99 of Johnny Berardi currently billowing black smoke out the back of it.
Yeah, definitely not the way that he wanted to have his race go. Ooh, some netcode there. That's one of the times where netcode kind of comes into your advantage, Peter. We've seen that on through on TV a couple times the past few days where that has netcode has been the bad end of the stick. But we have a couple reports hearing that the number 13 Alan Capers had to not race due to a mechanical failure or a catastrophic failure with his computer. So not sure what went on there, but definitely hope it gets fixed up next week. And it's just one of the things you have to worry about when racing on a computer. You got to worry about that computer actually working. And another report, Tim Masters of the 9 has actually retired his car from the race. So that's 2 championship contenders out here in the round of 8 that are having troubles from the get-go, Peter.
Yeah, Tim Masters had left the server and then came back and has left the server once again. So that number 9 machine. And Cameron, you know what I wonder had happened? I wonder if he forgot to check the repair box. The fast repair box, if you don't click that button by the time your car has been returned to pit road with the tow, it will have the full repair, and it will take probably about an hour for that crew to repair that number 9 machine, and that could definitely put an early end to his night. So already 2 of our championship 8, Tim Masters and Alan Capers, having issues here in the early running. Definitely not what they want to have happen here, and we haven't even made it to the quarter distance mark because, well, the number 9 looks like it's returned to the racetrack. Well, it did briefly. It's now disappeared again. So that crew behind the wall working. We'll have to wait and see if that number 9 is able to come back into the server at some point.
Yeah, that definitely is actually right. You said that he actually left, and so that number 9 might be done for the day, and definitely would be a shame. We saw he started off pretty well, was running in the top 5, but it got in trouble there, hitting the wall, and just it kind of snowballed from there. So he's going to have to work overtime the next few weeks to get himself back into the playoff hunt at Texas and ISM. So definitely, something to look for. But we haven't talked about Eddie Hawks in that 45 too much. We've mentioned him a few times, but he's been solidly up here in the top 5 pretty much all night so far. So definitely kind of being the spoiler in the playoff picture amongst all these playoff drivers. He's kind of up there mixing it up with these drivers. So definitely gonna be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, you have to remember at the start of the race, Eddie Hawks was the first driver that was not one of the championship 8 to start this race. He started from the 7th position. All 6 cars who started in front of him were in the championship 8, and now he is the highest running non-championship contender out there with a very, very good showing in that 45 machine.
Absolutely, but looks like the pace car lights are turning off, so we're gonna get set to go green here in just a moment. Just one more lap. So quick rundown of your field right now. AJ Digby currently your leader, Dave Wilson in 2nd, Eddie Hawks, who we were just talking about, in the 3rd position, Kyle Zimmer running 4th, Billy Wise up there in the 5th position. Good run for him so far. Kevin Cochran, haven't talked about him all night. He's right up there in the 6th position, started 14th, so a good pickup. Nick Tilla, he's had a messy night so far, but he's gotten up to the 7th position to see if he can kind of work things out and get himself back up to the front of the field. James E. Falk currently in 8th, Chris Burge 9th, and Elaine Day in 10th. Doug McCollum 11th, Brian Lohead 12th, 13th is Thomas Wise, Tom Johnson 14th, and Johnny Berardi is 15th. First car 1 lap down. But Peter, we haven't had too much time in this race so far, only lap 31 of 133, so about 100 more laps for these drivers to kind of figure something out. I gotta think the track is probably going to change a little bit over that course of time, so maybe we'll see that inside line kind of come into its own.
Yeah, what I'm interested to see is if Alain Day and Christopher Burge, the first 2 cars on fresh tires, will be able to make it up through the field. Your top 3 haven't pitted in 15 laps. Kyle Zimmer has 7-lap fresher tires in the 4th position, but the green flag back in the air here at Kansas Speedway. Just how important will tires be? We'll find out here in just a moment, as the 14 of AJ Digby just cutting the course just a little bit to see if he can inch ahead of the number 20 of Dave Wilson Wilson to his outside. The number 14 is going to slide up in front of him. Look at Eddie Hawks digging it down there on the inside groove. The 25 and the 22 is outside. Will Eddie Hawks be able to hold on to the third position, or will Kyle Zimmer be in the best spot here on the high groove? Eddie Hawks going to sail it off into turn number 3 and 4. He's got a really good run, Cameron, there through that corner. He's going to be side by side with the 20 at the line.
And a little bit further back, we have 3 wide for a moment. Looks like the 90 of Chris Verge, the 4 of Nate Catilla, and Kevin Cochran were 3 wide. There's Billy Wise right there running solidly in the 5th position, kind of being the lone wolf in this big gaggle of cars. Eddie Hawks currently falling back to the 4th position. He was under fire from Kyle Zimmer, so that inside line not really strong right there. You see James Efaw, Alan Day kind of using that though, and they're able to get around the 80 of Kevin Cochran pretty easily there. You see 68 slide right up in front of the 80. A bit of a slide job move. Now he's under fire from the 80 behind him. So nice back and forth racing here at Kansas. We see about a lot of slide job. You see that in dirt racing. So kind of seems a good way you have to pass on the inside line if you can do it.
Pretty much the whole field is single file until you get back to Alan Day and the number 80 of Kevin Cochran. Cochran is going to take 9th position away from the number 68 machine. So move Cochran up into 9th for now, but now all of a sudden they're starting to gaggle up right in front of them. Billy Wise is the meat in a 3 wide sandwich as they head off into turn number 1. Everyone doing a good job of this 3 wide. There's the number 4, Catilla running an outside groove, and we said, Cameron, that number 4, oh, Catilla's in the outside wall as I say that. I was just about to say, Catilla's been using that high line to his advantage, but now James Efaw in the middle of 3 wide as they head off into turn number 3. He's going to wisely back out of it here, go down to the inside. He's right behind the number 32 of Billy Wise. Billy Wise was in the top 5 there for just a moment. And all of a sudden, we're 2 wide again. Up in front of them, it's the number 98 of Chris Roberge is digging to the inside of Eddie Hawks. Eddie Hawks starting to fall off the back bumper of Kyle Zimmer. So, wow, all of a sudden, lots of action happening here at Kansas Speedway here on this restart.
Yeah, this is fantastic racing. Billy Wise stuck on the inside line now, so he can slide up on 88. No, he cannot. James Efaw takes that hole and runs with it off turn number 4. Almost smacks the wall, but is able to keep it off there. See that number 68 of Alan Day, right, way below that white line. That's not out of bounds here. This is not Daytona or Talladega, so drivers can run down there if they please and trying to make a move around the 80 of Kevin Cochran, as well as the 32 of Billy Wise close up there off turn number 2. It's just so hard to get the power down and make a move when you don't have the entire racetrack to use, Peter. This 68 kind of has been one of the better ones on that inside line. He's been able to make his way up to the 9th position, started around the 15th position the last restart, so it looks to be looking pretty well for him. Trying to kind of, make a name for himself in the SimPossible Race League with his first start, but right in front of him, James Efaw trying that inside line on Nate Catilla, not able to do that. Nate Catilla has actually been pretty fast up there on the outside line when he hasn't been getting loose through 3 and 4 and wrecking. So whatever issues that number 4 car had apparently have been resolved, at least at this point.
Yeah, remember he has used 2 fast repairs in this race in that number 4 machine, so he's definitely going to have to start thinking about that as this race continues on. He's going to slide up in front of the number 88 machine as, oh, Catilla's at the outside wall. As I say that, man, we got this commentator curse ray gun thing going on. Looks like he's able to hold on to that spot at least for now. Do want to make mention that Chris Roberge has moved up into the 4th position because Eddie Hawks made some contact with the outside wall in turn number 1 and 2 a couple of laps ago. And that is
the 88 around.
And that's James Efaw spinning through the infield with the number 32 machine of Billy Wise, and Brian Lowhead's hard in the outside wall, and the number 66. Oh, and the one of Thomas Wise getting involved. Doug McCollum in the 33, also lots of rear end damage. A 5-car accident here on lap number 39. You see that contact there between the 88 and the 32. And, the 33, Doug McCollum, was just clipped right at the wrong time. There was the 66 of Lowhead. And then Thomas Wise kind of came in a little bit late due to the spinning number 66 machine. But my, oh my, that was an interesting accident. Not really sure what started that accident. As you can see the Tampa Bay Devil Race scheme on the 66 of Lowhead. You see a spinning car in front of him, and I think he was hoping that the track would clear up all of a sudden. Didn't do so. Same thing with Thomas Wise and the number 1 machine.
Yeah, it's not often you see the resulting accident after the first one be larger than the first one, but You see just off the wall there, Billy Wise, James Efaw, and the 88 back up into traffic, gets that 33, and then the low head there as well, and Thomas Wise able to get through it, or Tom Johnson, excuse me. Really not good for anyone involved. But here's a onboard with Tom Johnson. We'll see what he was able to see through this accident. See smoke up in the track. That 88 pounding the outside wall after backing up into traffic, and just you know, sky is kind of clearing for him to drive right on through that. So activity on pit road here. Your leaders are all on pit road. A pretty good run for everybody. So I have to assume that we're going to see majority 4 tires and fuel, but that remains to be seen. And going to be a really important pit stop to kind of get this right. 14 into his box, as well as the 20, 25, and everyone else. It looks like everybody was pretty clean into them. And right side's up, left side's up, and then down and away we should see everybody go. Battle off pit road. Looks like Dave Wilson's actually going to win the race off pit road. He's going to beat the 14 and the 25 out. So interesting little development here in this race. We're going to see this 20 be out front for first time today, Peter.
Yeah, Dave Wilson first off pit road, but currently out there on the racetrack, Fernando Matos, I think he's going to get the lucky dog here. Nate Catilla in the number 4 machine, however, is currently going to be up there. Now getting word that he will not be the lucky dog. Johnny Berardi in the number 99 machine, he is your lucky dog. Maybe Fernando Matos is thinking of getting the wave around here. We'll find out if he comes down pit road this time with the number 4 machine of Nate Catilla. Looks like the 17 is going to stay out, Cam. So Matos will take the wave around, it appears, which will put him 1 lap down. He is currently 2 laps down after being involved in an accident about 20 laps ago or so. That wreck was really one of the biggest wrecks I've ever seen at Kansas Speedway. 2 cars simultaneously flipping and turn number 1 and 2. And that is why Fernando Matos is 2 laps down. But like we said, he's going to get that wave around, Cameron, be 1 lap down, be eligible for the lucky dog next time around. And hopefully we can see Fernando Matos back on the lead lap with that hand crayon car. Yes, that is crayon on that number 17, a hand-drawn paint scheme. If you're just now joining us, very, very cool story. A 13-year-old Special Olympian painted that car, uploaded it to the iRacing service, and I heard some pretty cool discussions prior to the race, Cameron, about possibly running a race with a whole field of hand-drawn cars, possibly from local area hospitals type things. So that'd be really, really cool to see all those cars out there on the racetrack.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember back in the day when that used to be a thing, like pretty much every year in NASCAR, and it's kind of died off a little bit, but definitely would be cool to see. And I was kind of having this thought, but it'd be kind of cool if everybody ran their like regular cars, just kind of hand drawn in a way. So, you know, kind of like it'd be the same paint schemes, but just kind of drawn with crayon. Definitely be a interesting little concept there. But
yeah, because the last thing you want is to have a whole field of new cars for the 3 white TV commentators to not know who's who. We can handle 1 or 2 cars, but when everyone changes their cars in a given week, well, you know, we're not the smartest of people out there.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. We're just 2 people with engineering degrees that don't know numbers or words or anything like that, really.
Yeah, what? I mean, I don't know. I don't know very much.
It's because all the algebra, you know, they teach you to use letters in the math equations, and then you get all confused.
Yeah, what are numbers? I don't know numbers. I can do MC over I, I can do P over A. Yeah, those are stress calculations. But I talk in letters more than I speak numbers. Anyway, nonetheless, up at the front, it is the number 20 machine. I can count to 99, and that's the highest number we have in the field tonight. So at least that's good. I can do it if I really think, but it is the number 20 of Dave Wilson leading the race for the first time here tonight. AJ Digby to his outside, and I think we're going to see if we can jump into the number 14 machine's spotter box and see if we can listen in.
My green flag's out. 20 on the inside, 25 behind him. You're even with them. Still there. 25 inside. 20's clear of you. Still low. 25 still there. Alright, you're clear. There's quarter. Door. He's India. Stay straight. There you go. Still there.
Got a 0 to 4. Don't think it's much damage, but did wheel hop up a little bit. But I think I'm fine.
Yeah, looks good to me. Clear by 1. Pretty much you 4 up front right now. Back behind you.
All right, that was the number 14 of AJ Digby and Kevin Vollmer staying for him. And Cameron, we heard them mention that he got a 0 to 4x, and if you're new to the iRacing service, that means he actually got credited with, as I say that, the number 25 is in the outside wall coming out of turn number 2, doesn't look like too much damage, but the number 14, when he said he had a 0 to 4x, it means he actually got credited with a collision with the number 20 machine, and it was what we call netcode, and that was the strangest netcode I've ever seen.
Yeah, really, I got to say that the iRacing netcode has been pretty ridiculous for the past few days, and you saw the 14 hop up into the air a little bit, get on 3 tires for a moment, but it doesn't look like it's affected the car because he is out here fighting for the lead right now with that 25 Kyle Zimmer, who looks to be struggling a little bit. That damage that he accrued from hitting the wall just a few laps ago might be starting to affect him, and it looks like he's not able to run up as close to the wall as the 14 has been able to, as you see Agent Digby make a move down to the inside, not able to do anything with that momentum just yet, but looking from the rear end of that 14, actually Kyle Zimmer has moved up the track a little bit and has kind of been able to ease the pressure from AJ Digby just by moving up the track and getting some more of that grip on the outside, but through 3 and 4, it looks like that the 14 has been running the highest of anyone out there, and he's been having the best run out of these 3 cars fighting for the lead, Digby, Wilson, and Zimmer.
Yeah, and while we were listening to the number 14, Kyle Zimmer was able to take the race lead with a beautiful slide job in turn number 3 and 4 over the number 20 of Dave Wilson. As the number 25 got close to the outside wall once again. Digby going to close in on him here on the back stretch. It's going to be interesting to see, Cameron, if that damage on that number 25 is Digby way up close to the wall there, possibly might have got a little bit of aero tight on entry because he was tucked up under the back bumper of that number 25 machine quite severely, and now he's just going to lose that ground he gained half a lap ago. There's the number 68 machine of Alain Day. He's a little bit further back. See, Alain, he's pretty much steadfast to that middle groove, while most of these other cars run in that higher groove, as we are now closing in on the halfway mark, about 15 or so laps away from that halfway distance. As there's the number 45, Eddie Hawks. We've seen him a little bit further up, but Eddie's currently slid down to the 7th position. No, actually a little bit further back than that. He's actually slid down to 8th position. Alain Day moving up into 7th as we jump back up to the front. We got a 3-car tandem up at the front. You could really throw a blanket over these 3 as AJ Digby might have got a little bit sideways coming out of turn number 2, and that number 20 closed in on him quite severely. But they're going to sort things out, at least for now. Oh, Kyle Zimmer got loose coming out of turn number 4, and Digby's going to have a run to his outside. You'll see the number 25 there on his rear bumper cam. Well, we changed the camera, but nonetheless, the number 14 of AJ Digby was able to slide on by it there, Cameron. I think we're at that part of the run where these cars start to get a little bit slippery.
Yeah, speaking of bumper cam, I was thinking, you said cam, I was like, what? But either way, yeah, fantastic move for the 14. Made it look pretty easy there out of turn number 4. It didn't really have to fight for it, just drove around the 25. So Kyle Zimmer It definitely looks a little bit slick out there. I think the track temperature has actually increased by a couple degrees over the course of this race, so it's kind of interesting to see that. But you see now Kyle Zimmer under fire from Dave Wilson in that 20, his teammate on the outside line. I think out of turn number 2, it's going to be pretty easy to make that move. Yes, it is. So Dave Wilson going to try to run that number 14 down and pass him for the race lead. All these drivers up here fighting for the championship. A little bit further back, you see the 98 of Chris Verge also in the hunt. He's trying to hold off that number 88 of James Ifa. Ooh, out of turn number 4, the Digby got really sideways. And ooh, sideways is the 98 of Roberge as well. He's actually going to spin it around into the grass. No caution for that, but at the same time, the 14 of Digby got sideways, and he's now under fire from Dave Wilson for the race lead, and caution is finally out. So what a lap that was here. We're going to see what happens here. The 98 gets loose off turn number 4. It just looks like it was not able to be caught. Down in the grass he goes, and I'm not entirely sure if that's what the caution was out for. I would have to assume so. And yeah, actually it would be. So I believe that's your 3rd or 4th caution of the night. And, you know, right there, just not much you can do to save that, Peter.
Yeah, it just gets away from you like that, and you do everything you can to try and keep it going straight, but a little bit too late on that number 98 machine. And that's a shame, too, because Roberge was running in the 4th position and having a very good run of it. But it doesn't look like there's any damage on that number 98 machine, so that will be good. Fernando Matos in the number 17 machine, however, he will be your lucky dog. Max Calder in the chat saying, "Go Matos." And so Fernando will now be back on the lead lap. So hopefully Max is happy that Matos is back on the lead lap, fighting for positions. And of course, he is one of the championship 8 still in the hunt for the SimPossible B Car Series Championship, as everyone is on pit road as of right now, including your race leader, AJ Digby.
Absolutely, and you see everybody down on pit road again. I have to assume that we're going to see 4 tires and fuel for everyone. So everybody's going to have to make sure they get in their pit boxes smoothly. Once again, you see everybody pull in there. Looks like a pretty good stop and go for everyone. And we're going to get a word with the 17 of Fernando Matos once these pit cycles kind of complete. Kind of want to hear from him about his car and everything, just how his race has gone, because it's not gone very smoothly, but he is going to be back on the lead lap and have a chance to fight once again. But down and away, battle off pit road, won by AJ Digby, followed by Dave Wilson and Kyle Zimmer. It's been those 3 drivers all day long, with AJ Digby having led the most laps up to this point, and then I believe followed by Zimmer and then Wilson. Those have been your top 3 drivers. But let's go ahead and wait for the field to cycle around. Let's get a word with Fernando right now. Fernando Matos, can Rich up with the booth? Got a copy?
Yes, copy.
Awesome, awesome. Kind of been looking at your car all race. We really love the paint scheme up here in the booth. Just kind of talk to us about how that's kind of how that kind of transpired, and you know how your race has been.
Yeah, so the paint today is by a Special Olympics. Oh, I got the black flag. Can you put me back on the radio really quick, guys?
Yeah, we'll drag you back down
Thank
in
you.
just a moment.
Well, Fernando Matos there getting a black flag under pit road. Unfortunately there, possibly pitting when pit road was closed or something like that. But hopefully that isn't going to be detrimental to Fernando Matos in that number 17 as he's trying to get his way back into the hunt for tonight's race. I'm sure, I would think that they'll probably clear that black flag. Cameron, he was talking to us at the booth.
Yeah, I jumped the gun there a little bit on my end, so my apologies. We'll see whenever he gets that black flag cleared. We'll get back to him, and there we will. So we can just go ahead and drag him back down here. All right, well, you got that black flag cleared now, Fernando. Now, okay, so two-part interview.
CP, now you are giving me black flags by talking to you.
Yeah, I'll tell you about a time when I drove the 17. 'Cause, that was a bit of a trip. But how's your race gone so far? It looks like it's not gone super smoothly, but you're gonna be back here on the lead lap and have a chance to fight again. So that's gotta be pretty good.
Yeah, well, they say you gotta only lead the last lap. So, let's go for it. Special thanks to Jake, the Special Olympics athlete who painted my car. And yeah, to his mom and to his coach. Really cool project. So I hope I can put a good show for them.
Absolutely, Fernando. Well, you're going to be up here back in the lead lap again, starting from the back. You have it all to do, but definitely put on a show for the viewers of 3xTV. You have a lot of fans in the chat, so try to do that. Good luck, and you're about to restart in just a moment.
Thank you.
Always a fun interview. Fernando is. We're going to be going green here in just a moment. You see AJ Digby on the inside once again. Dave Wilson on the outside. It's going to be a fight between those two. Pace car is off, ready for the green flag, and there it is. Another good restart for that 14 of AJ Digby. He has been on it all night on these restarts, and now the battle's going to be for second. Two protege cars of Zimmer and Wilson side by side. Doug McCollum up in the top 5 for the first time tonight. I've not talked about him. He's currently in the 4th position, able to get around 88 of James Ifa, who himself is under fire from the 45 of Eddie Hawks. He's been pretty well all night himself, but Doug McCollum right up there in that 4th position, now playing spoiler for the potential championship drivers up here. But a battle for the lead. Kyle Zimmer on that inside line. I think that's the first time all night we've seen somebody use that inside line for the lead, and he's been able to take it away from AJ Digby out of turn number 4, but Digby steadfast on that outside line into turn number 1. I think he's going to get the run here out of turn number 2. Yes, he will. Look at that momentum he has. He's going to get around the 25 pretty easily and bring the 20 of Dave Wilson with him. Good racing up here, Peter.
Yeah, well, the number 25 was able to take the lead under the previous restart by using that inside groove, and he was able to get around Dave Wilson. That's how that number 25 got the race lead, but it didn't work out for him this time, as he's now heavily under fire from that number 20 machine, and if he doesn't watch out, he'll soon be under fire from the 33 of Doug McCollum, as well as we have a car in the wall a little bit further back. It's the 32 of Billy Wise. Looks like everything is sorted out, except 32 just scraped the wall. Wasn't a major impact, but it definitely hurt his run up off the corner. Dave Wilson's going to slide into second. Zimmer was able to get to that high side, cut up in front of the number 33 of Doug McCollum, so McCollum sits in 4th. 5th place is the number 45 of Eddie Hawks, and 6th place James Efall as they go single file for the top 6.
We have a bit of a hornet's nest here around the 8th position, led by Brian Lowhead. The cars side by side, it looks like, and you see the 66 under fire from Kevin Cochran, and outside he's going to take that position pretty easily. Has Elaine Day right behind him. Both of those drivers have been pretty well stuck to that bottom side. You see Brian Lowhead now under fire from Billy Wise. Saw him in the wall just a couple of laps ago, like you said, Peter, but it doesn't look like that inside line has been very strong after about 2 or 3 laps at all.
We do have the number 1 machine, Thomas Wise, currently going a lap down here in that number 1 machine. There's a lot of rear end damage to that one car. I don't know where that damage came from. The number 99 of Johnny Berardi also off the pace and coming back up onto the racetrack now in turn number 3 and 4. That number 1 machine, however, very much off the pace. We'll see if we can see what happened here on the 3xTV replay with that number 1 car, but he is just so far off the pace right now. He's going to fall down a couple of laps here if he doesn't get down on pit road and use a fast repair.
Yeah, absolutely, and I actually saw some connection issues with that car a little bit. Ow,
oh, jeez.
My
number
goodness.
1 machine on his roof. Let's see here on the replay. Going through turn number 3 and 4, using the middle groove here. And, got a little bit sideways there. Got turned up the racetrack. Ooh, the number 99, Johnny Berardi, had nowhere to go. The number 1 machine spinning like a top on its roof. And no caution, Cameron. Can you believe that?
Yeah, that's wild. I'm honestly really surprised by that, but that car is
the flag
very
man,
slow.
the flagman must be asleep or something up there, because my oh my, that should have brought out a caution. But speaking of the flagman has crossed his flags and we're halfway home here at Kansas Speedway.
Not much change up here at the front. AJ Digby with about a 0.3 of a second lead over Dave Wilson. And Dave Wilson just looks like he hasn't had the long run speed to kind of challenge at 14. He's had the short run speed. Ooh, Fernando Mato is 17 there, tapping the wall out of turn number 2. I don't think there's too much damage on that car, but has only made up 1 spot since the restart, and now working over that 57 of Tom Johnson to try to get himself back up through the field, just having gotten his lap back. But a couple spots up here, Billy Wise and Nate Catilla were side by side. Billy Wise keep that 9th position. Nate Catilla now under fire from Elaine Day in that 68 machine. For Team Britt, that car will change by next week's event. Mint and White not doing it for them. He's going to lose a spot to Nate Catilla. So Elaine Day running in the 11th position, doing a pretty good job out here for. I believe Elaine Day is actually a road racer by nature, so might be just kind of dabbling in these stock car things here. Ooh, caution out in the racetrack.
Oh, it's the 20th Dave Wilson. He's got around on the front stretch. Got a lot of right side damage, maybe contact with the outside wall, but he's going to bring out the yellow after a long slide through the tri-oval here. Let's see what, oh, yeah, just got a little bit sideways, got a little bit loose, and he did everything he could to save it. You can see he was just trying his best to keep that car to go straight. Wagged a tail all the way through the tri-oval before finally losing control. I think he might have just, oh yeah, just overcorrected a little bit, and then when he tried to get off the wall, I don't know, it looked like it all of a sudden started going straight. Looked like he had it saved, and then it just snapped on him.
Yeah, once you get those rear tires not happy, usually it doesn't get much better for you, but we're going to go on board with him. You see counter steering in the wall pretty hard. That car was already pretty damaged, and for some reason the car just was not going to have it. It did not want to go straight again and then spin around, so a lot of damage on the right side of that car, but he did get the caution he needed anyway to be able to fix it up on this pit stop. But I got to expect to see 4 tires and fuel for the majority of the field once again.
Yeah, and there is the number 25 machine of Kyle Zimmer now pole vaulted into the 2nd spot as we head down pit road, led by the 14 of AJ Digby. Doug McCollum is in the 3rd position, and Eddie Hawks in the 45 4th. James Efog, good run for him. He's currently in the 5th position as they head down pit road. And Cameron, it'll be interesting to see who wins this race off pit road.
Yeah, last time we saw the 20 of Dave Wilson win the race off pit road and was able to get to the lead, not able to hold off the 14 of AJ Digby, but apparently that 14 crew was not on point at that part of that point. So we'll see how that transpires in just a moment. Off of pit road, Digby wins the race pretty easily over Kyle Zimmer. There's Doug McCollum up to 3rd, James Efaw and Christopher Burge going to round out your top 5. So I'm interested to see how that 33 is going to do up here. He's kind of gotten himself up to the top 3 pretty slow and steadily, but he can definitely play a spoiler up here in this battle for the lead, Peter.
Absolutely. Want to give a shout out to a longtime friend of mine, Coop, in the chat. And Coop says, the flagger is drunk. And I have to admit, the flagger, it probably is drunk after not throwing a caution with the 1 spinning like a top through the tri-oval. Speaking of the number 1 machine of Thomas Wise, he is currently 2 laps down. Johnny Berardi 1 lap down in the number 99 machine. I believe, Cameron, do you have someone lined up for an interview here?
I do. So let's get the number 33 of Doug McCollum in here. See what he has to say. McCollum, long time no see. Camera chip up here in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, you've been able to make your way up the 3rd position kind of slowly and steadily. Started back in 17th. You are the biggest mover by far right now, but not in the championship battle up here. You can kind of play spoiler for this battle for the lead. Do you think you have the speed to do that?
We'll have to wait and see. Like you said, I'm not actually in the chase here, so I'm not going to push anything. You know what I mean? I'm going to race, but I'm not going to put myself in a bad position or anybody else. But we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. Track looks a little bit slick out there, especially down in the turns 3 and 4 end of the speedway. How's it kind of feeling for you?
I think it's loose everywhere. That's why most of the best guys are up here at the top by the wall. It doesn't seem to be as loose up here at the top.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to let you get back to what you're doing best. So you're going to be starting up here on the inside line. It looks like right behind the 14. So best of luck to you and put on a show for us.
All right, thanks.
Well, Peter, heard from Doug. He's not going to go up there and take it too incredibly dangerous with the championship battle, but it wants to go out there and race. And I think, this is kind of the kind of race where you need to go out there and try to make something happen.
Yeah, this is a race where you can really be patient and gain positions from your patience, and that's what Doug McCollum has done. And one thing we've seen out of Doug so far this year is he is a fairly patient race car driver. He doesn't seem to put that number 33 in bad positions all too often. He makes, good moves, and he's won a couple races out there in the SimPossible Racing League. So keep an eye on Doug McCollum here in this last half of this race. Here, restarting from the third position in the double 3 machine. Threes are wild if you're Doug McCollum right now as they head down the backstretch here at 65 miles an hour. And Cameron, I don't know about you, but 65 miles an hour pace speed here, it seems slow. It seems like really long caution, but maybe that's just how iRacing does things here at Kansas Speedway. Not 100% sure if it's more laps than typical, but the caution flags do seem to last a decent period of time. But oh well. Well, speaking of cautions being long, we've actually extended the caution for a lap. Looks like they possibly a few drivers struggling here under the
we had a
pace.
57
pacing.
of Tom Johnson getting turned around in turn number 3, it looks like, or turning into the 17 of Matos. That hard hit from Matos, actually, and involving Dave Wilson as well. So we had a pretty big boy wreck here under caution. Let's see what happened here. It's centered on these three cars right here. You see Tom Johnson turning down the racetrack and just clipping Matos head on into the wall. Not sure what happened there. Might be some failure on the 57's car, but definitely Matos, not what he wanted at all. Nor did Dave Wilson want that as well, because he has damage as well.
Yeah, and remember that number 17 machine, he had to use a fast repair after his last accident. Well, now he will have to use a second fast repair. He's already coming off of pit road. Use that fast repair after that contact, but he's going to be starting at the tail end of the longest line here. Doesn't look like anyone else elected to use a fast repair. I'm incorrect in that statement. Matos came down pit road. So we'll have to see if the caution flag is extended once again to allow Matos to close back up, but definitely it didn't look intentional by any means. Looked like that 57 just came down the racetrack at a constant speed, kind of indicative of a failure. But let's see if we can jump on board with the number 4 machine here for this restart.
Steady, steady. Green. Inside, side by side. Is that your door? Side by side all the way at the white. You'll have the preferred line here in the 1 on the top. He's in the middle of the racetrack. Now all the way at the white again. All the way at the white, fender and quarter. Still there, fender. He doesn't have room to come up. You have the preferred line. Just keep digging there. Side by side. Keep digging here. Side by side. He's going under the apron. Enough room just to get back on the track, that's all. Still there, not clear. Now he's still down there. Watch for him to come up. Clear. 98 slow down there, he had a big screw up. There you go. Outside 98 middle, tight. Tight, you're gonna be 3 wide here. Still there. You have room. Cleared the wreck. Good job, caution's out. Dwight, I was letting you stay down there on the apron, Nate. I saw it coming, buddy.
Well, welcome back to the 3Y TV booth. You're riding on board with the number 4 of Nate Catilla when chaos struck just to his outside. The number 98 of Chris Roberge and the 88 of James Efog getting together. And ladies and gentlemen, look who comes into this accident right there at the end, the number 20 of Dave Wilson, one of your championship contenders. How this night has turned on its head for the number 20 machine here very, very quickly from the top 3 to back of the pack has been absolutely disastrous. But Cameron, a little bit of net code there getting those 2 cars together.
Absolutely, definitely not going the way he wanted, and see Dave Wilson right into the back of his teammate. Nothing he could do there, and he's going to have to get a third faster pair, and really not the way he's wanted things to go at all. But speaking of wanting things to go a certain way, it's gone all AJ Digby's way up to this point. He's currently still your leader, has led the most laps tonight. Doug McCollum has made his way up to the 2nd position after the problems with the number 25 of Kyle Zimmer getting Doug McCollum getting by him. But it doesn't look like everybody's going to come down pit road. Actually, yes, they do. The whole entire field looks like they're coming down pit road, and AJ Digby's staying out on the racetrack. So very interesting strategy call there, and I'm not sure how it's going to work out. We've seen the old tires not work on these restarts, but we've also seen it be very difficult to pass. So I think AJ Digby kind of thinking proactively and thinking, if I stay out in the lead, then I'm in the best position I can be already. So he's also joined by Killa and Elaine Day, who are also going to stay out on the racetrack with him and battle off pit road. See it on your screen right now. Looks like it's going to be won by Doug McCollum, who very close to the line with Kyle Zimmer, but McCollum nips him by about a fender and then there's Eddie Hawks, James Efog, and the rest of the field. But definitely an interesting strategy call, Peter. That number 14 staying out on the racetrack with most of the field coming down. What do you think about it?
Yeah, it is an interesting call. Digby has 8 laps on his tires, probably only about 3 or 4 green flag laps. So, you know, I think it's going to work out with AJ for that number 14 machine, because it's just so difficult to pass here at Kansas Speedway. Now, if we do get a long green flag run, however, it could be a different story, because we have seen that these tires, after about 8 to 10 laps, they start to get really, really slick out there. And if Digby reaches that portion of the run where they're slick before some of the other drivers, he could be in trouble. But at least for now, I think it's a good call. He did have Nate Catilla, Alain Day, and Fernando Matos as well stay out there on the racetrack. So it is 4 cars between him and the number 33 of Doug McCollum.
Let's go ahead and see if we can get a word with our new driver in the league, currently running in the 3rd position, Elaine Day. And Elaine Day, this is 3Wide TV up here in the booth. You got a copy?
Yep, a copy.
And just to be sure, are we saying your name right? It's Elaine and not Alan, right?
No, it's Alan.
Alan, okay, all right. Thank you very much for that. But yeah, big whoops from our producer there. But either way, if your SimPossible Racing League appearance out here tonight, how's it going for you? Looks like you're up there in the 3rd position, been running pretty solidly all day. Just how's it gone up to this point?
It's been a little bit of a bit of a difficult start because the track temperature was quite hot, but it's been gradually reducing over the course of the race. So as the track temperature's been going down, it's actually been getting better for me over the course of the race. But I'm just trying to strategize now a little bit, trying to think a little bit more further ahead. We've still got a fair way to go, and then we'll take it from there. Really, like all I want to do is try and get as good a finish as I possibly can. Really, being that it's my debut race, and I want to try and put on a good show. Really, more than anything else.
Now I have to ask you, are you a road racer by nature, by any chance?
So I couldn't quite catch that. That's my crew chief talking to me.
I just wanted to ask, are you a road racer by any chance, like by nature?
Yeah, road racer by nature. I normally drive GTs, but I do drive some GT3s as well. I have done some oval racing before, a reasonable amount. I've done a few NIS races, not a huge amount. So this is my first more serious sort of oval race.
Definitely pretty awesome, but you're doing a fantastic job out there, so go out there, get it done, and put on a show for us here at 3Wide TV. Thank you so much for talking with us, and want to give you a big welcome to this league.
Thank you, guys.
Well, You heard there, Elaine Day, all the way from England out here. Not a oval racer by trade, but he's getting it done tonight. And speaking of getting it done, you see number 14 and the 4 of Nate Catilla up there side by side. They are really close to each other. That number 14 is pinching the 4 all the way up as far as he can. But pace car is pulling off here in just a moment. There it goes, and waiting for that flag man to throw the green flag. There it is. Another good restart for AJ Digby. Nick Catilla kind of caught sleeping on the restart. He's going to be under fire from Elaine Day right as we go into turn 1. So Elaine Day, in his first SimPossible Racing League start, has gotten himself up to the second position pretty solidly there off of turn number 2. We're going to see him slide up right in front of that 4. Yes, he does. So Nick Catilla now under fire from Doug McCollum in that 33. We talked to him a few cautions ago, and Nick Catilla saying, no thank you, I would like that second position back. This is all happening right behind the car we're on board with right now. AJ Digby, he's been the dominant car all day, and coming down to the end of this race, looks like he has it all figured out.
50 laps to go here at Kansas Speedway, and keep an eye on that double 3 machine of Doug McCall. Oh, out there in the wall, and all of a sudden that number 68 machine, we've been speaking his praises there, he's going to get passed by the 33 of Doug McCollum, who is going to go from 4th to 3rd in 1 lap. And look at Kyle Zimmer now in that number 25 machine behind Alain Day. And boy, my oh my, all of a sudden things really heating up at the front. This is exactly what your race leader, though, driver number 14, AJ Digby, wants to see, as he's pulled away to about 2/3 of a second lead over Doug McCollum.
Yeah, and the battle is for 3rd place. Nick Catilla currently has it in the wall. Alain Day goes again on the backstretch, but he's under fire from James Ifaw on that bottom line. Moves loose in turn 4. Elaine Day sideways into the wall. Fernando Matos involved once again, and we're going to be working the caution one more time. At 68, just getting a rude introduction to the oval racing side of things here. And you just saw that 68 was very sideways through turns 4, and just into the back of him went Kyle Zimmer, and getting a piece of it was Fernando Matos. Dave Wilson kind of squeaking through that once again. He has not had a good second half of this race at all, and actually I think it might have a little bit of damage on the front end of that machine. Watch what happened here again. Just once he got sideways, Peter, and then once he got kind of hit by the 25, there was not much he could do.
Yeah, and Dave Wilson, I'm trying to see if he's got any damage on that number 20 machine, because he did a good job going through the grass and saving it. Looks like he's going to be okay, but now everyone back on pit road, led by the number 14 of AJ Digby. So Cameron, I think maybe, the 98 of Christopher Burrish has decided to stay out. That's kind of an interesting move by that number 98 machine. We've seen him kind of get shuffled back in the pack. He's been up near the front, but that number 98, after spinning a few laps ago, he's going to see if he can bounce back up into the top 5 with this strategy move. But AJ Digby, nice and smooth into his box. Got the number 4. The number 25, is that Kyle Zimmer, who had a little bit of issues getting into his pit box. And see how much that costs the number 25 machine. Dave Wilson in his pit box, 2 boxes back, 25 off and rolling. But he's going to lose a couple positions as he comes out side by side with the number 80 of Kevin Cochran.
And the rest of the field coming off the road, you see right there on your screen. So AJ Digby has been really... He's been really easy on his tires, it looks like, this entire race. He's been able to be the fastest car on the long runs while still maintaining good speed on the short runs. I don't think, I think the 20 of Dave Wilson was actually probably the fastest car on the short run, but I think AJ Digby has been able to do something with his car to where he's been able to conserve the tires on the longer run. But there's Chris Burge coming down pit road to get 4 tires and fuel, and I think actually fuel might not be an issue now. I think we are well within the window of not having to take that. So just down there to get tires and have some more grip on that machine. But why don't we see if we can get a word with somebody else up here. Let's see if haven't talked to Eddie Hawks in a while, so let's see if he's available for an interview. Eddie Hawks, this is Cameron Rich up here in the booth. You got a copy, bud?
Yeah, sure do.
Well, you've been up there in the top 5 just about all day there, just for a couple of moments in the race. You're running about 6th or 7th, but you're currently in the 4th position. It looks like it's been a pretty good day for you so far.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. Got in the wall a couple times, but that's what you got to do really to get so fast.
Yeah, we've seen that from a couple drivers here and there, but ask the driver of the 33 in front of you, Doug McCollum, who's also not in the playoff hunt, kind of playing spoiler up with these playoff guys like Digby, Catilla, and Zimmer behind you. But does that kind of go through your mind while you're running this race? Do you kind of think about racing championship guys, or do you just race them like you would any other time?
Nah, I'm giving them a little more space than I give anybody else. I'm going to race them hard, but I'll make sure I give them a little extra room because I know what they're racing for.
Absolutely, but it definitely looks like this track is a little bit slick right before the pace car lights are going off here. So real quick, track looks a little bit slick out there. We've seen a lot of cars get loose through 3 and 4. How's it feeling for you?
Yeah, after about 10 laps, it's really loose, especially off of 4. So as the tires wear, you just gotta, keep in mind, take it a little easy.
Absolutely. Well, best of luck to you, Eddie. We're gonna let you get back to doing what you do best. So good luck on this restart and rest of the race as well.
All right, thanks, guys.
Well, 2 championship contenders up at the front and 2 championship contenders right behind them. Digby and Catilla going for the championship, and McCollum and Eddie Hawks are not. So it looks like the day of the non-championship contenders is here tonight. They're doing pretty well out there, Peter.
Yeah, they are. James Efall currently running in the 5th position as well, one of those non-contenders as well. But in 6th place, we have Kyle Zimmer, and he is one of the championship 8, trying to get his way to Homestead, Miami in a couple of weeks. Pace car gonna turn down onto pit road here. Going to put the race in the hands of the number 14 machine, AJ Digby. He's been getting fantastic restarts here tonight. He's on 4 fresh tires, and he's going to have, once again, a massive launch over the number 4 of Nate Catilla. That number 4 machine not getting up through the gears. That inside line has a huge move. Looks like James Efall, the number 88, is going to be able to clear Nate Catilla. That number 4 machine just did not get going, and he's going to slide all the way back into the 5th position as Kyle Zimmer has moved up in 4th. Efall up to 3rd. Doug McCollum now 2nd as they're side by side a little bit further back. The 80 of Kevin Cochran's going to see if he can get around Nate Catilla as well, while he is still trying to come up to full song. He's finally able to hold off that challenge, at least for now, from the number 80 machine, it appears. But they're side by side a little bit in front of him as Kyle Zimmer under fire from the 88 of Efall.
Trouble for Kyle Zimmer out of turn number 2. He actually hit ball there, and James Efall on the inside line says, "Thank you very much. I will go ahead and take that." So move him up into the 3rd position. Now under fire from Nate Catilla as well. So looks like both of those drivers might be getting by this 25 of Kyle Zimmer. Not having a particularly bad night, but hasn't shown the outright pace of the 14 or 20 either. But almost hit the wall there again into turn number 1, battling with that 88. Eddie Hawks and Nate Catilla side by side right behind them. Move very, very close off of turn number 2. In the wall goes the 45, and he was pinched up there by Nate Catilla. Nowhere for him to go at all. He's going to lose 1, 2, 3, 4 positions right out of that move. Got passed by Wilson, Tom Johnson, and Kevin Cochran. Now he is under fire from, I believe that's Chris Burge in the 98. So
Cameron, we need to stop talking to people under caution.
Yeah, commentators sitting there.
Yeah, we were speaking to Alan Day, and then he had some issues. We talked to the number 45, and then he has some issues. So we need to just hush, be quiet, and all that stuff. As Fernando Matos, we also talked to him when he got a black flag. So, crazy night all around. There is that number 17 of Fernando Matos. He is currently in the 12th position, trying to get around Alan Day. Right in front of him, as looks like James Efall just scraped the wall going off into turn number 1. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw that number 88 machine. He was able to hold on to that 3rd position over the 25 of Kyle Zimmer. There's only a 3/10 between Zimmer and Catilla. Catilla has had a lot of pace tonight, Kim, and we've said it a couple times that he has really looked like a top 5 race car, and he's showing it once again here inside the top 10. He's got a breast cancer awareness scheme on that number 4 machine. As the number 25 Kyle Zimmer, he's going to see if he can get third place back from EFA here through turn number 1 and 2, using the least preferred inside groove. And once again, that inside groove does not prevail. Very difficult to make a pass down there.
And in front of this 88, Doug McCollum about 10th of a second behind AJ Digby. So the long run speed of that 14 showing itself once again a bit further in the back. Chris Burge and Tom Johnson over here for the 9th position. Might go 3 wide here. Lane Day on the inside line. See if he can maybe move up in front of both these cars using that apron. Yes, he does. It's very close between Burge and Johnson. There's Fernando Matos. He's had a rough night all night tonight, but has a bump from back. Trouble at turn number 2. That's Tom Johnson and Fernando Matos. Burge was involved as well, but definitely Matos and Johnson getting the worst of it. Let's see what happened here. Looks like they were just racing and ran out of room through turn number 2. Burge there on that outside line, and looks like Tom Johnson went for a move there, and it just was that hole that he was in closed up right when he was there, and around went Johnson and Matos, Peter.
Yeah, it looks like the number 98 of Roberge actually got into the outside. Well, might have been a little bit of contact there with the number 57, but definitely Roberge slid up in front of Johnson, so Johnson tried to do the over-under on him, and when he did the under, unfortunately the 17 of Matos was there, and there was that contact, and around the 57 went into the inside wall. Looks like the 17 of Matos was able to get it checked up before actually making contact with the wall. So not sure if there's all too much damage on that number 17 machine. He definitely has some left front, but it looks like that damage was on the number 17 prior to the contact between the two. So definitely a tough break for the number 57 of Tom Johnson when he did make contact with that inside wall. But once again, caution is out here with 37 to go. There will be 36 to go at the line. Man, we had someone, Cameron, pull probably the biggest fake out I've ever seen getting to pit road. Eddie Hawks in the number 45 machine. He was all but on pit road, and then he came back up the racetrack as to not pit. So interesting move there. Does look like the number 99 of Johnny Berardi will get the lucky dog here as he's being waved past the pace car. So Johnny Berardi will be back on the lead lap in his return race. Remember, he's coming back from surgery. And as we have the race off pit road, the number 14, AJ Digby, will win that race. The number 33, Doug McCollum, will follow him. Next car behind him is the number 25 of Kyle Zimmer, then Nate Catilla, Kevin Cochran behind him, and the 88 and then the 20 of Dave Wilson. So Wilson trying to work his way back up through the field, but Cameron, it's so difficult to pass here at Kansas. Wilson hasn't been able to make too much progress.
Really, he hasn't, and it's been a rough race really this entire second half. Actually, we'll see if we can get a word with him and just kind of ask him how it's gone from his perspective, because I'm pretty sure it's not going to be the best of ones. I got him right here. All right, Dave Wilson, this is Cameron Rich up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Well, it's been a rough second half of this race for you. Looks like that everything that can go wrong has gone wrong in a big way, but just kind of talk us through how it's gone up to this point, and what are you going to do to try to get up there and get that W?
Yeah, the car felt great first half, and I just overdrove the corner a little bit, and it got sideways on me, and just kicked out on the start-finish line. And AJ is definitely a really fast driver here right now tonight, so he's really the main person to try to beat. I know Kevin Cochran right now. I'm just trying to get around him, and he's been fighting me really good. So at this point, it's just kind of trying to play safe to try to get in a good position to have a good finish and try to get some points.
Absolutely. Well, track looks a little bit slick out there. We saw troubles for you out of turn number 4, the car getting sideways and getting yourself up in the wall. It's kind of where it started for you, but you know, we've heard everybody say it's pretty slick out there. Does it feel like it's getting a little bit better or more grippy?
Probably a little bit, but I'm definitely pushing a lot right now, trying to get some more track positions. So it does get a little bit slicker later on the run because I'm pushing so hard. But I think this run coming up, I'm gonna try to play it a bit safer.
All right, Dave. Well, appreciate you talking with us. I think we're about to go on green here once again in a short moment, so we'll let you get back to that.
Alrighty, thank you.
All right, doubled up for the restart once again. Was the driver of the number 20, Dave Wilson. He's running back in the 8th position right now, 4th car on the outside of the, or outside car of the 4th row, excuse me. So he's got a bit of work to do to get himself back up into position to maybe win this race. But if there's anyone that can probably do that, it's going to be that number 20, Peter.
Yeah, Dave Wilson been fast all year in this season, and definitely hoping to see if he can get his way up a little bit further, to see if he can pole vault his way into the championship round. Of course, after tonight's race, we will have the race at Texas Motor Speedway in 2 weeks, and then ISM Raceway the week after that. And then the week after that will be the season finale. So here we go. We're going to go back to green flag racing. Eddie Hawk stayed out there on the racetrack. He has 13 laps on his tires. He's going to have to watch out for some possible wheel spin on this restart. Current track temperature is 85 degrees Fahrenheit. That is slowly dropping as the sun continues to set. But speaking of setting off the racetrack, the pace car has set down pit road and the green flag back in the air. Whoa, look at that restart for AJ Digby and the number 14 machine. Possibly a little bit of wheel spin by the number 45 of Eddie Hawks. And AJ Digby already trying to assert himself as the race leader here, getting some help from behind with the number 28 of Kyle Zimmer, but that inside line starting to be strong through turn number 1 and 2. But watch that momentum on the high line. Oh, the 45 turned up the racetrack into AJ Digby, and the 45 in the wall. Doug McCollum in the 33 tried to go 3 wide, and there was contact there. And the 45 of Eddie Hawks in the outside wall. Looks like the 88. James Efall, after the caution come out, he's in the outside wall. We'll see what happened here on the 3 wide TV replay, but a little bit of a hook there on the backstretch. And the 45 hard into the outside wall. Doug McCollum involved. Looks like the 57, Tom Johnson, is missing a hood. You see those cars spinning down there on the bottom side of the racetrack. That's AJ Digby. And also James Efall. I don't know what happened to Efall in the 88 machine. We'll have to see if we can see that one here on the replay. But yeah, just a little nudge there on the backstretch. Sent a couple cars around. The 4 car, Catilla was another car down there spinning. And oh my gosh, the 1 of Thomas Wise kind of speared the number 14 machine when the 14 was spinning at the racetrack. But Cameron AJ Digby been so fast all night long, but is now going to have to see if he can dig his way out of this one.
Yeah, really, he looked relatively okay there right before that 1 car speared right into his door there. He will be able to get a fast repair regardless, but you see, ooh, big hit there for the 88 of James Efall. We've talked about AJ Digby's luck here in there, but you know, tonight it looked like it was going so well for him, and just caught up in something that had nothing to do with him. You know, you got to feel for him in that kind of a situation, because he was having a pretty flawless race at this point.
Yeah, definitely had a good race going. Hadn't really had any major faults, like you had said. That is definitely a tough break for him. James Efall went on the apron to avoid the accident. When he came back up onto the racetrack, that's what sent him spinning up into the wall. But there is your race leader, Alan Day, in his debut race here in the B-Car Series. So pretty, definitely a interesting turn of events here, as that number 68 is making his debut out there now, leading his debut lap. We could go on for days there, Cameron.
It just keeps getting worse.
The good thing about that is I didn't even plan that one. You know, sometimes you catch yourself out. It's pretty good. Anyway, Alan Day is your race leader. Brian Lowhead is currently second, winning the race off pit road, the number 25 of Kyle Zimmer. Johnny Berardi is still out there on the racetrack as well. Remember, he has been laps down at points in this race, but he currently sits third in the number 99 machine, as we have 30 laps to go this time by. There you see that bright red number 99 machine, and the 25 to his outside, with maybe a little bit of connection issues out of that number 99 right there. Kevin Cochran currently sits in the 5th position, and the number 88 saved the Tata's number 80 machine. Like I had just said. Dave Wilson has actually been able to work his way through that melee, and he is back up into the top 6 in the 6th position. But I believe he actually might have received a scratch on the nose. It doesn't look too bad, but I believe there is some damage on that number 20 machine from that melee that happened on the backstretch. Just doesn't look like it's too bad. It just looks like that front hood has been poked up just a little bit. Getting reports actually from my producer that's been there for a while. So nonetheless, Cameron, going to be interesting to see here because we do have the 1 to green. They're doubled up out there. Alan Day leading his first few laps here in the series.
Yeah, and that wreck really turned this head on turned this race on its head, excuse me. You saw the 14
How
AJ
the turntables.
Yeah, how the turntables, but the 4 and the 14 are now back in 9th and 10th respectively. 2 of the fastest cars here. Dave Wilson back in 6th, not too bad. Kyle Zimmer in 4th, but that pace car is off. Green flag is out once again. Field in the hands of that 68. He gets a pretty good restart over Brian Lowhead in that 66. Immediately down to the inside line goes that 66 Lowhead. It's single file for the first 4 cars. Here comes Kevin Cochran on the outside line. I haven't talked about him too much today. He's been kind of quietly been up there in the top really 6-7 cars and has been very kind of right there all day, but now he's up here battling for the 4th position and 3 wide. Johnny Berardi in the middle of that, and here comes Dave Wilson on the outside, and actually here comes Nate Catilla. He's been able to make his way up to the battle for 4th on the inside of Kevin Cochran, going all the way below that yellow line. So number 4, he's probably a bit ticked off after what happened last caution. Look at him going for a top 5 spot.
Yeah, great run and great recovery by that number 4 machine because, yeah, he was through the infield on the back stretch, now going for 4th, now on the preferred outside groove over the number 80 machine. Dave Wilson's worked his way now up into the 6th position again as we're 3 wide through the traveler. Oh, the 4 cars sideways, the 20 Dave Wilson, contact, and the 20 and the 4 are around on the inside of the racetrack. Number 4 stuck in the wall, no caution just yet. But that is an absolute disaster for the number 20 machine, and the caution flag has come out. Looks like it had to be thrown by the race admin here because iRacing wasn't throwing the yellow, and Nate Catilla, absolute heartbreak. One of your championship contenders got glued into the inside wall there, and Cameron, that is not what you want to see.
Absolutely, and I think Dave Wilson, if he's not on his final fast repair, he might already be out of them. So, thankfully, he didn't hit the wall after this initial contact with the left side of Nate Catilla's car, but there is still quite a bit of damage on the right, or excuse me, the left front. No, excuse me, that is the right front of Dave Wilson's car, and that is going to hurt him as we get further into this race. You really don't want to get that right front fender cream filled up at any racetrack, Peter, but especially at an aerodynamic track like this, that's really going to hurt him a bit.
It'll be interesting to see if that 20 does have any fast repairs left and if he even elects to use it, because this last half of the race has been absolute disaster for the number 20 machine. He was in the top 3 for the first half of this event, and really it's just kind of snowballed from there as we have some drivers kind of fake pitting right now. A couple of drivers electing to come down, including Dave Wilson, Tom Johnson, and the 66 of Brian Lowhead. They're all on pit road as we speak, as is the number 4 machine. Still getting a tow back to his pit box. And that's definitely an interesting turn of events here as we now have 25 laps to go.
And Alan Day up there in the 68 car leading his first ever SimPossible race. Actually, I was kind of thinking about what that car reminded me of, Peter. And it definitely has a 90s Solo Cup vibe to it. If you look at the front end, kind of looks like...
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, that really kind of makes me happy because I don't care what anybody says. That pattern is timeless, and it's like the best thing ever.
Yeah, and basically anyone can say that right there, that 90s Solo Cup, and this is the picture they have in their head. White cup, a little bit of blue, a little bit of pink, magenta type color, in some squiggly S type shape or whatever. We won't go into naming shapes. We did that last night, got us into trouble here on 3Y TV. But nonetheless, that number 68, he said it earlier that he was just being patient, wanted to ride out the race, but here with 25 laps to go, riding out the race as the race leader, that's what you want to do if you want to finish your first day in the race with a possible victory.
All right, we're going to go ahead and escort you out of the booth after that one, but definitely for a road racer in his first start, he's been very hasn't gotten himself in any trouble whatsoever, and has found himself up in the lead through some circumstances, but he has been able to hold it as well. So really, it's been a very good debut for him. And well, don't look now. Back in fourth position, the number 14 of AJ Digby. He's going to be starting on the outside line of row number 2. So I think AJ Digby is probably going to be a little bit. I say a little bit, but I know he's going to be a lot of it, kind of trying to get back up to where he was at before those issues befell him, and that was up in the lead. He's really been the dominant car all day today, and coming down to almost 20 laps to go, he really doesn't have a lot of time to get back up there, so he needs to make quick work of this restart when we get to it, Peter.
Can make note that Dave Wilson is still sitting on pit road getting damage repaired on that number 20 machine. So looks like he was out of fast repairs, or maybe he's just electing to save one, but he's sitting on pit road. Pace car coming out of turn number 4, and we'll have to see if that number 20 gets moving here quickly, or else he will fall one lap down, and indeed he does get rolling. So he will stay on the lead lap, as I'm expecting to see pace car lights off here this time, and there we go. Pace car lights indeed turn off. We'll have a 22-lap shootout here once we go back to green flag racing, and hopefully we can keep it clean and green to the end. Let's reset the field for you just a little bit. Alan Day is your race leader. Kyle Zimmer to his outside actually has 5-lap fresher tires on the 25 machine than the 68. Kevin Cochran currently sits third. AJ Digby fourth. Digby's led a good portion of this race. We'll have to see what that 14 can do here. Chris Roberge is currently in the 5th position, which is where he started tonight's race. Eddie Hawks, we talked to him a little while ago. He's currently in 6th. Fernando Matos, what a recovery for him. He's currently on the inside of row number 4. James Efaw to his outside, another driver who was hard into the outside wall not too long ago. Billy Wise and Johnny Berardi rounding out your top 10. But Cameron, I'm expecting to see a lot more action here. We've seen a lot of action on these restarts, a lot of side-by-side action. I think we're going to see some more here.
Absolutely, and we are getting down to the nitty-gritty end of this race, coming to 22 laps to go, so not much time at all for anything to happen, but still a lot of time for something to happen at the same time. But pace car pulls off right there onto pit road, field in the hands of Alan Day, and we're going to go green flag racing right there. Good start for the 25 of Kyle Zimmer on that outside line. That's probably the best restart we've seen from that line all day. And look right behind him, 14 of AJ Digby. He wants to make something happen. He's going to try to go up there right up next to that wall. Thought about making it 3 wide from him there around the 25, but thought better of it as well. But here comes the 25 of Zimmer himself out of turn number 2 to the outside of Alan Day for the race lead, and we are side by side into turn number 3. Very close there between Chris Roberge and Eddie Hawks. But you see, look at a tandem there almost between the 25 of Zimmer and AJ Digby. So Alan Day just shut the door on Kyle Zimmer. He had to make a basic move to try to get around him. And here comes AJ Digby as well, looking for second. I think he might take it pretty easily here into turn number 1. But Alan Day is going to come back on the outside strong. Not going to give it up too easily, saying, I don't care how many laps you've led today. I'm trying to make a name for myself. And actually, Digby in trouble. He got passed by the 45 of Eddie Hawks as well, Peter.
Yeah, Eddie Hawks using that high groove. His advantage here is now the number 66 of Alan Day. We'll see if he can close back in on the number 25 of Kyle Zimmer, as Eddie Hawks is going to go to work on that back end of the number 68. But speaking of going to work, look at that number 14 of AJ Digby as we ride on board with Eddie Hawks. He is trying to get the 3rd position back. Look at him showing his nose to the inside there. And really, Cameron, if you're going to try and make a pass on the inside, you really have to set the car up a corner and a half earlier and get a good run up off that corner and see if you can get to the inside to see if you can kind of do a slide job. We saw Eddie Hawks try and do a slide job on the number 25 machine there after that restart. It didn't quite work out for the number 68. So it's going to be interesting to see what that number 14 can do. He's been fast all day, but will he be able to make a move?
And speaking of making a move, here is somebody who's making moves. Fernando Matos just drove around the outside of the 88 of James Efaw and looked to be fighting with the 80 of Kevin Cochran for a bit. Looked like he might have got around him, but was not able to make the move. But up front of that, AJ Digby on the inside line trying to get around Eddie Hawks. Once again, there's just not enough grip down there. That 14 is losing speed, and he's going to have to pull up right behind the 45 once again. So all while this is happening, he's losing time to the 25 of Kyle Zimmer, who's about a second ahead of him at this point.
Well, Kyle Zimmer, if he can hold on to this, he will his ticket into the season finale round at Homestead, Miami, with a shot at the B-Car Series Championship. But we still have 17 laps till we find who will get the checkered flag here. Ooh, Eddie Hawks in the outside wall through turn number 1 and 2 just a little bit. That is going to allow the number 14 of Digby to close right back in on him. And if I'm AJ Digby here right now, Cam, really you don't want to come under fire from the 98 of Chris Roberge. I wouldn't be at all surprised if AJ Digby just kind of rides this one out for a lap or two more and see if he can get away from that number 98 before making another attempt, because last time he made an attempt on that number 45 machine, he really came under fire from the number 98. But you can see he's tucked up right underneath that number 45 machine going down the back stretch. Digby, is he going to take a peek to the inside here? No, not this time round. As we will see what happens here is we'll come to 15 laps to go.
Here he comes. Here he comes. It looks like he backed out of it early into turn and got in the gas early. Is going to try to make the move on the inside down into turn 1. Like you said, Peter, about a corner and a half before it's going to happen. So he's going to have to drive into turn 1, slide up in front of the 45. 98 Roberge in the wall a little bit there. He's going to be under fire. Oh, trouble! 17 of Matos around. And I think everybody else was able to avoid that. I see somebody else who went way down on the apron. I think it was 20 of Dave Wilson, so no contact for him, but wow, Peter.
Yeah, it has not been a night to remember for that number 17 machine. They took him 3 wide up off the corner and fortunately wasn't quite clear on the number 98 of Roberge. And look at the 20 of Dave Wilson avoiding that spinning number 17 machine. We've already seen Dave Wilson possibly out of fast repairs and had to make some evasive maneuvers. Here we go on board with one of the drivers. I think who is this? The number 20 here? Yes, the number 20, Dave Wilson. You see that number 17 go down the racetrack, and what a move there, Cameron. You saw him hit that bump, and all of a sudden, that number 20 lurched to the left to avoid Matos, and that would have been bad not only for Matos, but also bad for Dave Wilson had they made contact. You were riding on board, I believe, with the number 17 machine. As you see, oh, there's that contact, hooks him up into the outside wall.
Yeah, that probably would have been race enders for both of those guys if I'd made contact, but Dave Wilson able to get away from that without any additional damage, and I think Fernando will be able to continue. Yes, he will, but I'm not sure how many fast tires that car has left either. He's been through a lot today. But activity here on pit road, all the leaders down, and Peter, you think we might see a 2-tire strategy or something like that here?
Ooh, that is a good question. I don't think so. I think it's going to make these cars too loose. We've already seen a couple of drivers have some issues with loose race cars, and you and I know taking 2 tires tends to free up the race car, and I don't think that's really what you want here with probably about a 10-lap shootout, because that is just about the amount of time when these cars start to get loose. Who's going to win the race off pit road? It looks like it will be the number 25 of Kyle Zimmer. Alan Day will be the second car off pit road. And what about that third car off pit road, AJ Digby? And then we have the 45 of Eddie Hawks, the number 98 of Chris Roberge, Kevin Cochran, James Efall, Dave Wilson will be the 8th car off pit road. Then Billy Wise and Thomas Wise. And getting words that unfortunately the number 17 of nope, never mind. Looks like he was just having a little bit of connection issues in that number 17 machine, but Fernando Macho's back out there on the racetrack. Doesn't look like he has a fast repair left, Cameron, as I still see some damage on that number 17, and I think if he had a fast repair, I think he would have used it. So we'll see if he comes back down pit road here to get some damage repaired.
Yeah, absolutely. Still a bit of damage on that car, and I think that he is well out of fast repairs, as is Dave Wilson, who I believe got some more of his damage fixed. It does not look like that car was particularly speedy on that last run, but trying to just get what he can out of this race. Definitely not going either way for both of those drivers. So just a tough way to start the round of 8, really. And they're both going to have to try to rebound in 2 weeks' time at Texas and at ISM Raceway. But really, I gotta say, for Kyle Zimmer, it looked like it was going down that way for a little bit, Peter, at the beginning state part of this race. He got in some trouble himself, but he's been able to rebound really nicely and might be looking at a win here in a few laps.
Yeah, that number 25 definitely has now led a good portion of this second half of the event. This race was a little bit fortuitous for Nate Catilla. He will get one of his 2 laps back. Remember, that number 4 machine was glued into the inside wall, kind of fused with the inside wall about 15 or so laps ago. Dropped him 2 laps down, but now he's got one of those back. If he does receive another lucky dog, it will have to require another caution. That would get him back on the lead lap. So keep an eye on the scoring ticker if we get another caution, and that number 4 machine, because I'm sure Nate Catilla, he's been really fast here today, but I think he's used 3, if not 4 of his fast repairs, but he's been very, very quick. Just unfortunately had disaster strike at the wrong time, but pace car lights are off. We'll have a 10-lap shootout here at Kansas Speedway. Your race leader, Kyle Zimmer, and to his outside, Alan Day, AJ Digby 3rd, Eddie Hawks 4th, and Chris Roberge rounding out the top 5.
Yeah, and it's definitely going to be a very interesting restart here. I think that number 14 of AJ Digby is exactly where he wants to be. You can't be the leader. I've always said that it's probably best to be that car right behind the leader, because you can go when he goes, and you don't know if that 68 is going to be able to see that that restart as well as AJ is. So this might be his opportunity to get up there and fight for that lead. I've always said that kind of starting on the outside line, especially if you don't have a VR setup or a triple screen setup, is probably one of the hardest things to do on the iRacing service, and I know you know that as well as I do, Peter.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there is a reason why a lot of these drivers don't look over at the car to start going, and that's because really your peripheral is what acts first, and if you can't see the car next to you out of your peripheral, well, definitely it leads to a slow restart most of the time, unless you wait for the green flag to fly. Can't say that the 68 got a bad restart, because he got a pretty darn good one. He's going to stay to the outside of the number 25 of Kyle Zimmer as they head off into turn number 1. But look at AJ Digby. Digby's trying to sniff that race lead. I thought Digby might take it 3 wide there. Alan Day goes all the way to the top side of the racetrack. Look at Digby as we ride on board. Digby's going to take the 2nd position as they head down the backstretch.
Side by side for 3rd with Roberge and Alan Day. Alan Day on the outside line, Roberge on the inside. We're going to see through 3 and 4 which line is better, but AJ Digby running that outside line for the race lead. He's going to have to do something with that 25 here pretty shortly. Alan Day able to get it back around Chris Roberge. So now the battle for the 5th position, Eddie Hawks and James E. Faw, with Kevin Cochran right behind them. And out of turn number 2, AJ Digby, good run in the wall though. In the wall, both him and Kyle Zimmer, I think, had it. So now AJ Digby going to be under fire from Alan Day into turn number 3. We'll see if Alan's able to clear him. I don't think he will be able to, but how much will that damage hurt the 14? Out of turn number 4, almost some contact once again. So already I think the performance might be degraded pretty here.
Yeah, that number 68 machine, he has no damage on it, but your 2 leaders last time by made contact with the outside wall. This time, Kimmer's going to put probably about 1.5 or 2 feet between him and the outside wall coming out to turn number 2. Not a bad idea here, as we now have only 8 laps to go, working our way through turn number 3 and 4. They'll see 7 to go this time. And Cameron, Alan Day, he was kind of a bottom feeder earlier in this race, but he's migrated to the top. Definitely done a good job of it in that number 68 machine. And we'll see if he has a shot at passing that number 25, looking a little bit further back in the pack now. There's the number 80 of Kevin Cochran going to the outside of the number 45, and look who's right behind him, the number 20 of Dave Wilson. Wilson trying to move back up as they head off into turn number 3 and 4. Wilson, will he make that move to the outside? No, he won't, at least not for now. But Alan Day currently running in 2nd, AJ Digby 3rd, James Efall, good recovery for that number 88 machine. He's currently sitting in the 4th position as they head through turn number 1 and 2.
197 miles into the corner. In turn 1 was the 25 of Kyle Zimmer. These cars are absolutely flying around this joint, running some of the quickest lap times of the race, but definitely it is go time for everybody. Kyle Zimmer looks pretty good right now. Battle here between Chris Roberge and Kevin Cochran back for the 5th position, and both of these drivers have been going at it all race. It's a couple, about a second up to the 88 of James Efall in front of them, and he's he's looking pretty for a maybe top 5 finish. But up there on that outside line, Chris Verge has that preferred groove. I think he might be able to contact with Kevin Cochran. Cochran tried to come up and it looked like that Chris Verge came down a little bit, and you saw those two cars bounce off each other. No harm, no foul. They're both going straight as an arrow, so no, not going to bring out a caution or anything. But I think Alan Day has fallen off of Kyle Zimmer by about a half a tenth, and it's about a second back to AJ Digby. So I don't think that I think that whatever damage that 14 got might be hurting his performance at this point.
What Alan Day wants to see, though, is that number 25 machine get into the outside wall once again. But so far, that 25 keeping it clean and green. They're on that top groove. We'll have 3 laps to go this time by around the Kansas Speedway. AJ Digby, like you said, about 4 tenths behind Alan Day. James Efall, another 4 tenths back from him. Eddie Hawks, a second behind Efall. So really your top 5 has settled down a little bit. Eddie Hawks was able to get around Chris Roberge, and Roberge is now fighting with the number 80 of Kevin Cochran. Still Cochran to his inside, and now the 32, Billy Wise to the outside of Kevin Cochran. Really quiet night for Billy Wise, but he's trying to make some noise right at the end. I mentioned that earlier in the race. You just got to make some noise right at the end, but Kevin Cochran isn't going anywhere. He's staying underneath the number 98 of Kevin Cochran as they're side by side at the lead, at the line, I should say. And that time by, the 80 machine, the 98's in the wall. That will give the position to the number 80 machine of Kevin Cochran. But not so fast. As I say that, the 98 does an over-under, and they're side by side again. This is some great racing between these two, as the white flag is in the flagger's hand, as Kyle Zimmer will see the white flag one more lap around the Kansas Speedway.
And the battle for the 8th position still going on strong. 7th. Kevin Cochran has it, and that has actually died down a little bit after that initial contact there. But out of turn number 2, Kyle Zimmer, he's sitting pretty. He's got about a second, or about a half-second gap on Alan Day. It's about a second back from him to the 14 of AJ Digby. So just a clean one more corner, 3 and 4 here at the Kansas Speedway. And to start off the round of 8, Kyle Zimmer, with a masterful drive, comes home with the win here at Kansas Speedway, and he is going to Homestead. He's going to fight for another SimPossible Racing League champion. He is the truck champion from last season, and he's going to try to do it once again. But a great drive from the 25 of Kyle Zimmer. Overcame some adversity today, but was able to be the number 1 when it counted. But a good race all around, Peter.
Yeah, do you know where that number 25 is going, Cameron?
To Homestead.
Homestead!
Homestead.
He's going to Homestead.
Let me tell you about that track. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh man. Yeah, not Cameron Rich's favorite track due to history with a certain person who we shall remain nameless. But nonetheless, the number 25 machine, Kyle Zimmer, will go to victory lane here at Kansas Speedway. Great debut for Alan Day, and the number 68 machine, AJ Digby, will come home third. What could have been for that number 14 machine led a lot of laps here today. Comes up 2 positions short. James Efall rounds out the top 4, and Eddie Hawks with a top 5 finish. Dave Wilson recovers to finish 6th out of faster pairs, but I gotta say, if you're out of faster pairs, 6th place finish, you'd probably take it here in the SimPossible Racing League. There is Fernando Matos in the number 17 machine. He comes home in the 10th position, rounding out the top 10. Right behind Chris Roberge, who lost out to Billy Wise in the number 32 machine. Billy Wise was able to squeak out an 8th place finish, getting around the number 98 machine. But that number 25 machine is your race winner. We're going to get some post-race interviews lined up for you here in just a brief moment on 3Wide TV. We'll be right back with you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Kansas Speedway. You see Kyle Zimmer doing a bit of a Polish victory lap there after taking the win after 133 laps. But before we talk to him, we're going to get a word with our third place finisher, AJ Digby. I'm down here with him right now. And what a night it's been. What a night it was, but definitely what a night it could have been. AJ Digby, can Rich up here in the booth, you got a copy, bud?
Yep.
All right, well, started on the pole tonight, led the most laps, I have to believe, and it looked to be going so good for you. Just the unfortunate victim of some circumstances. Just kind of tell us about how your race went and if you think you can do anything differently.
Nothing I could do differently. Fastest car all night. Started on pole. Was able to pull away every single green flag run, and that had that lead from the get-go. And definitely, I think, proved that I was the fastest one all night. Led the most laps. So just got caught up in that accident, and had it saved, was actually had almost zero damage. Had it saved, was working my way back up on track when some of the behind and got drilled. So. Nothing I could really do from that standpoint. Went from 10th to 6th on that next 2-lap restart, showing just how fast my car was, as nobody was able to pass, and I went 10th to 6th, and then was able to work my way up towards the front and just lightly scrape the wall and set me back a little bit. Lost a couple mile per hour there, so wasn't able to get second or push for it. Both Zimmer and I did. I was kind of just following him. Messed up in that sense, but at that point, I mean, it was so hard to pass that I don't think I would have got him anyway. I would have been all over his tail, maybe a bump and run, but it was so hard to pass that would have been tough. But yeah, I was the fastest car all night, so it's real disappointing. Should have had a win to be able to walk away with it, but at the end of the day, I was third with most laps led, so got the extra bonus point there, and just know that I'm second in points and by a good margin. So. Makes it a little bit easier, but definitely should have had a win. Really do, other than I don't even know, because just out on the restart.
Even though you weren't able to get the win tonight, you still, I got to say, a good performance nonetheless. Top 3 and leading the most laps. But how does that kind of change your mindset going into 2 weeks from now? We go to Texas Motor Speedway. Do you kind of think that you have to get a win, or would you think that a good run would suffice?
Good run for sure. Just want to be able to make it onto Homestead. I have a good points lead right now, so I think another really good run at this would, in some ways, might even secure my way through if I have a good enough run, and some of these other guys don't have as good a days like they do today. So just going to try to have as good of a run as I can at Texas. It's been a place I've been good at, not great over the years. But then Phoenix ISM is a place that I've always loved. There and Kansas are 2 tracks that I'm really good at. Phoenix is that I've done for a long time, and wasn't able to do it the last time these guys were there in the beat car in the regular season, though. Just hoping to be able to get through and get into the next round and hopefully be able to win Phoenix, but put on a good day at Texas.
Absolutely. Well, before we let you go, AJ, do you have any shout-outs for us here on Thoroughway TV?
Yeah, my cousin Volmer was with me here today spotting, so that really helped, got me through a couple things, and he's also the one who designed that car, beautiful Zulu Motorsports car. I know some of my Zulu guys were watching today, so thank them for tuning in, and anybody else who's watching the stream, it's awesome to have you, and Jeff for putting on this league, you guys for the podcast, and otherwise we'll just move on next week and hopefully continue this at least good finishes. It's better than the last round of the playoffs where I started off getting wrecked at that last restart and ended up like 11th and 8th in the first 2 races. So I'll definitely take third with the most laps led over that and move on to next week and hopefully go win one of those.
All right, AJ. Well, appreciate you talking with us. Congrats on finishing third. I know it's not what you wanted, but a couple weeks from now we go to Texas and it's a new race. But thank you once again. All right. Well, I believe that that means that Peter Short has caught up with Alan Day somewhere.
That I have. And speaking of good days, well, Alan Day My oh my, man, you had a fantastic debut here in the SimPossible B-Car Series, coming home with a second place finish. We talked to you a little bit earlier in the race. You were just kind of biding your time. Well, you made a little bit of a strategy move to get some track position, and you followed that up with a second place finish. Tell us a little bit about your race here.
Well, like I said with earlier on, like the start was a little bit difficult. With the track temperature being very high, but as the race progressed, it started to get cooler. As it started going into the evening, the car seemed to settle down quite a lot. It was very, very good mid to long stint, which was helping out the car quite a lot. Like I was looking in a couple of positions at the start, but then I was gaining them back up as I was trying to save the tyres and just allow the tyres to heat up all by itself, which was helping with the cooler temperatures, so it wasn't going too high too quickly.
Yeah, definitely looked slick early in the race, but like you said, definitely looks like the track gripped up quite a bit as the race went on, but nonetheless, second place. Were you expecting a top 5 finish here tonight for your first race, or how surprised are you with this finish?
Like I was probably thinking actually, before the start of the race, I was thinking like top 10 finish will be a decent enough result. I wasn't really expecting much, especially as I hadn't really practiced in the car at all. Like I literally just bought the Xfinity car literally just about an hour before the actual race started. So the practice session was actually my very first laps in the car as a whole. Like I've driven the A-Class car, the Cup cars before, but I know obviously the Xfinity car is a little bit different in its own right. It is as well, but look, it was definitely an easy shot really. I could try getting up the field as quickly as much as I could really, and just play it safe, and just allowed it to play out really.
Yeah, we saw you running the inside groove a decent portion of tonight's race, and it seemed like at the end of the race you kind of had figured out that high groove, and you said you hadn't got much practice. How difficult was it to get accustomed to running that high groove, which tends to be, well, really is the fastest line around Kansas Speedway? How difficult was that transition?
Well, like as I started to find that was a lot of people, that was a lot of the other drivers were actually driving up on the high line. I tried doing that myself, and I was finding that I wasn't really getting what I wanted out of the car, so I started trying to pick the middle line. I started getting a little bit more comfortable with that, and then towards the end of a run I would try and then start moving up to the high side and then bring it down a little bit, because I was finding some other drivers were getting backed up, and so they were coming slower out of the corner, and then I was overtaking them for position on the inside. Definitely
a very, very tactical outlook on your lap around this place. Very, very interesting to hear that. Of course, in a couple weeks' time, we do go to the Texas Motor Speedway. Have you had any experience with Texas Motor Speedway? Will we see you there? Of course, it is just now coming up on, almost about 3 o'clock there in the morning. But will we see you again at Texas Motor Speedway in a couple weeks?
I'm definitely planning to. I am. I'm wanting to try and put in as much practice into these cars as possible, because I'm looking to try and be in oval racing a lot more coming into 2020. That's the main reason why I've gone into the SimPossible League, is to try and get adjusted to oval racing, which is entirely different to what I would do normally. But I've been able to obviously take some of the practice in road racing into this, because it does help in that kind of transition. It does a little bit, but yeah, I'm definitely going to be looking forward to that, to the next race, definitely after this run.
Absolutely. Well, welcome to the SimPossible Racing League. Without a doubt, it's a good group of people, and I'm sure you'll fit in here. Before we let you go, you got some shout-outs for us?
Yeah, definitely very special thanks to the Team Brit team. First of all, we unfortunately couldn't get a livery on the car for this evening. That's why I've driven with a blank livery. Both me and the team manager, Paul David, pretty much joked around. We did earlier this evening, saying I would just pick this car up from the junkyard, and we're going to be getting our own very own car that is fully practical from the next race. But everybody in the team has definitely been helping out quite a lot, and also to everybody in the league as well for inviting me over for the closing end of the season, obviously as well.
Absolutely. Well, we look forward to seeing you at Texas Motor Speedway. You might be able to back up the second place finish with a win there. Only time will tell. But until we hit the track again, best of luck, buddy.
Thank you, guys.
All right, that is your second place finisher, Alan Day, finishing his debut race on the podium. Very, very impressive. And I believe that Cameron Rich has caught up with someone else who's very, very impressive, the number 25 of Kyle Zimmer.
Yes, sir. I got him right here. And Kyle Zimmer, I made the absolutely fatal mistake of counting you out midway through the race. And like always, you came back to prove me wrong. And, you know, probably weren't the fastest car out here tonight, but you were the fastest when it counted. Kind of just take us through your race. How did it go from start to finish for you?
Yeah, it was definitely a good race and a wild race. Definitely up and down for me throughout the race, but yeah, I made a pit penalty in the very early of the race, but I had to get back. Went back from backfield to the front a couple of times. Yeah, it was just all about not hitting the wall, because I know that's what the hardest part. You know, especially catching off turn 2 and turn 4, it can be really tight. But I have done that a couple of times tonight, but yeah, just right timing at the end. But I know AJ had a really fast car tonight, but we were able to get the right spot, the right position in the last 10 laps, and was able to block him in the last restart. Was able to hold everyone off and take another win. Good to be back in the victory lane once again.
Absolutely. After the round of 12 went for you, I gotta think that it feels pretty good. I do want to ask you though, the track went through a pretty big temperature swing throughout the race. It went from about in the 90s to around 79 at the end of the race. Did that kind of help you in figuring out the car as the track got cooler? I do want to ask you one thing though. The track did go from a pretty big temperature, go through a pretty big temperature shift throughout the race. It started around 90 and it was around 79 at the end of the race. Did that kind of help you in figuring out the handling of the car?
Yeah, the track, the weather really affects a lot on the car handling. I mean, from the practice section, which I think was high, the track temperature was high as 110. It was really slick, and but there was a lot of throttle control there. But then once we got to start of the race, I think track temperature dropped almost 3 nearly. A lot more grump once the race started. But as the race went on, it was still loose with the tire wear. After maybe 8-10 laps, it was starting to get loose off turn 4. But yeah, the weather definitely was a shade. I noticed when we had shade at the turn 1 or 2, it was a lot more grump there than it was in turn 3 or 4. It was all the sun was really hitting and the surface there was really making a lot more tire wear there, and a lot slicker, and it was more throttle control that corner, so it was definitely and fun finish. Track handling, but the weather plays into the road throughout the race today.
Well, you got a week off, then you go to Texas Motor Speedway, but you don't have anything to worry about because you are locked into Homestead. So how are you going to approach these next 2 races of Texas and ISM? Are you just going to try to get as many wins as you can, or are you just going to kind of focus on Homestead?
I'm gonna be mix of both, I would say, but I'm definitely got a lot of and all that away from me since I won tonight, so I'm not worried about the points at all. I'm just gonna try to get good finish, try to keep carrying my momentum head to Miami. But yeah, Miami is gonna be what's gonna be the most counting for me now. So I'm just gonna play safe, and if I get right timing at the end of the race to tax it or IMSA, I'll definitely go for the win one. Yeah, just like as go for win, but I don't have as much pressure as the other drivers will have, so that's gonna be the only big difference. Other playoff drivers, so yeah, but definitely looking forward to Miami race. So
Absolutely. Well, I think that's all we got for you. So before we let you go, Kyle, you got any shout outs for us?
yeah, and I definitely like to shout out to you guys, Rewind TV, for broadcasting this weekly. Want to thank everyone who participated weekly. Had a lot of drivers today. That's awesome, and I want to thank Jeff for creating this thing. I want to thank my team for Chase Racing. I want to wish a big shout out to Alec Day, who debuted today, finished second. Great racing with him once. And I want to also big shout out that I made a big announcement earlier today. The next season at the British Series, I'll be sponsored by SimGraphics and Mark. So I'm looking forward to next season for that. But yeah, but hey, we're in Miami, so I'm so excited for that and for 2 weeks Texas race.
Absolutely. Well, you got a pretty good shot at capturing another SimPossible Race League Championship, and it all will be shown at Homestead Miami Speedway in about 3 weeks' time. But Kyle, thank you very much for talking with us. Congrats on your win from tonight's event, and definitely be talking to you some other time. I believe with that Peter Short has caught up with the league owner and organizer and big man himself, Jeff Schmidt.
That I have, and boy, oh boy, Jeff, it was a very, very crazy race here tonight at Kansas Speedway. It was a pretty difficult racetrack, pretty slick out there, but it put on a fantastic show for this first round, or for this first race of the second round of the playoffs. What were your thoughts about tonight's race?
I thought it was fantastic. This is a tough track. With the package that we have here with the car, that top line is so dominant. And Kansas typically is a top line racetrack, but it really proved to be very dominant. And if you couldn't run that top line well, then you were just going to go backwards. So it's not an easy thing to do, and a lot of the drivers adapted to it and got better and better at it. It was pretty amazing to see the guys and how close they were getting to that wall. Again, not an easy thing to do here. So I'm very impressed with the race overall. We did have our little skirmishes here and there, but all racing incidents, of course. And yeah, it was great. The battling all over the track, something you don't always see at Kansas. A lot of times here it's follow the leader, and it wasn't like that tonight. So I'm very proud of everyone. It was truly amazing to watch this race.
Yeah, definitely a spectacular race here, but we have an off week next week before you go to Texas. But what else do we have coming up on the radar for SimPossible Racing League? 2020 plans, perhaps?
We do have 2020 plans. So Monday in 2020 will be our B-Car series, which we're racing now on Wednesday. That will move over to Monday. And then on Wednesdays for 2020, we'll be in the Cup car. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Nice transition from the trucks to the B car to the Cup. It's pretty interesting, and I think the guys are going to have a blast in the Cup cars next year.
Yeah, of course, last year when the SimPossible League started, you guys started with the trucks. Now it's awesome to see your transition to the B car and then ultimately the Cup car. It's going to be a lot of fun for all of us to watch each and every one of your races. But one thing I want to make note here tonight is you had unfortunately, Alan wasn't able to get started due to some technical issues with his PC, but there was 19 cars registered for tonight's race. That is absolutely very, very impressive. What are your thoughts about that, Jeff?
Oh, I'm ecstatic about that, and not to mention we have a few drivers that are out with injury or with other things going on. So, I see the field growing. Slowly but surely we're growing, and eventually we're going to have 30 cars out here, and I'm excited to see it, man. The more the merrier. Anyone with a disability, if they want to come join us, they're more than welcome. We really we try to make you feel as comfortable as possible joining into this. Alan Day joined. Congratulations for his first race being a second place finish. Awesome job by him, and I'm excited to see what he can bring to the table in the SimPossible Racing League. So very excited that he joined tonight. And yeah, we're always accepting new drivers, and it's really a fun time that we have out here. Just looking forward to how big we can grow it.
And it's definitely a fun time in the booth as well. And one of those drivers who is out currently, Tanner Sharp, want to give a shout out to him. Hopefully he is recovering well and will be back on the track here pretty shortly. So Jeff, before we let you go, you got some any final thoughts, some shout outs for us?
Yeah, I mean, congrats to Kyle, locking himself into Homestead early here in the first round, or the first race of the last round, I should say. Well, second to last round, Miami being the last, but congratulations for him locking himself in, and congratulations on picking up the sponsor for next season with some graphics. Very cool stuff. Again, Alan Day for joining us. Awesome to see him come out here and race his first race and do so well. Going to be exciting to see how he does in the league, and hopefully he had a good time. Of course, you got to thank all the drivers out there. We love every single one of these guys, and it's a blast, man. Everyone gets along so greatly. It's really something special that we have here, and everyone's pretty proud of it, I would hope, because I surely am. Got to thank everyone that watches these on YouTube, whether it be live or later. Thank you so much for tuning in and checking the race out and supporting your favorite driver or the drivers in general. Having that support out there is really important to us, and we really appreciate that. Thank you guys so much for broadcasting 3Wide TV, Carlos, Cameron, and Peter tonight. Always a fantastic job that you guys do. I can't wait to go back and watch the racing. I know it was fantastic from my view. I'm sure it's going to be an awesome broadcast to watch again. So, yep, just got to thank everyone that's ever helped us out along the way. And if you are or know someone that has a disability that would like to join our league and be part of this community, they can go to SimPossibleRacing.com and fill out a driver sign-up form. And we'll have them on track ASAP. So just looking really forward to what we can create out of this, and you know, it's been a great run so far, and I'm excited to see what we can do.
Absolutely, I'm excited to see the league grow. Well, Jeff, thanks for stopping in with us, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time when we go to Texas Motor Speedway.
Thanks, man. Have a good night.
All right, that was league owner and organizer Jeff Schmidt. And Cameron, like he said, this league continues to grow, and it is definitely a fun group of people to be around. I think we have the final rundown of the results here for you tonight. And of course, it was your race winner of Kyle Zimmer getting the checkered flag and punching his ticket into the championship 4 at Homestead, Miami in about 4 weeks' time. Alan Day, newcomer to the league, finishing second. That will be a talking point as we go to Texas in 2 weeks' time. AJ Digby coming home in third. James Efall in the number 88, good recovery for him to finish fourth. Eddie Hawks, much the same, finishing inside the top 5. Dave Wilson was out of fast repairs at the end, but he comes home with 6th place. Kevin Cochran comes home 7th. Billy Wise 8th. Pretty quiet night out of Billy Wise, but solid top 10 for him. Chris Roberge coming home in 9th. And Fernando Matos had lots of ups and downs throughout the race, but comes home with a top 10. Cameron?
Tom Johnson comes home in 11th. Ryan Lowhead comes home in 12th. Johnny Berardi in his comeback race, 13th place. Thomas Wise comes home in 14th. Nate Catilla, 1 lap down, finishes 15th. Doug McCollum, tough break for him. He looked like he was very fast up there. Nate Catilla as well. Both of those drivers were very fast near the end, catching some trouble. Doug McCollum comes home 16th. Tim Masters, another tough break for him, coming home in 17th. Mark Dingman retired after the first caution of the day, or second caution, I believe, so I'm not sure what went on there. And unfortunately, Alan Capers, our 19th place finisher, not able to even start the event, having some computer issues. But I think that's all we got for you guys today. I want to give a couple shout outs from us, as usual. Like Jeff Schmidt said, I want to give a shout out to all of our viewers from our perspective. We love each and every one of you, whether you watch live or the replays. Without 3Wide TV viewers, 3Wide TV would be just viewers, not anything else. But I want to give a quick shout out to Sim TV, Kyle Heyer and Finian DeCunha for these awesome cameras each and every week. They do look oh so pretty, as well as Thomas Morris from OCR TV for these graphics packages that we use and also look so pretty. But you know what, Peter? I think that's all we got for these guys tonight. You got any final thoughts on the race?
I'm just excited to see what Texas will bring in 2 weeks' time and ISM the week after that, because if tonight was any indication, things are ramping up here at the end of the season.
Absolutely, they definitely are, and Texas Motor Speedway going to be your home race, I believe. So, going to be a fun one from everyone else. Fast speeds, close racing, old Texas Motor Speedway where it's hot and slick. We're going to see a lot of sideways cars. But from myself, from Peter Short, from Carlos Costa, we wish you all a very well good night and stay awesome.
#see ya!